All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We got a little echo in here. Welcome to today's meeting of Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel. Pardon? Yeah, I know. We're got a little feedback there. Are we okay? Pardon? All right. We're involved in a brand new technique, semi-experiment today. We have a lady in Frankfurt who is going to speak to us and talk to us on our screen here in just a minute. And all right. We'll take a couple minutes here to work on our feedback issue. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have all of you here for today, our meeting on August 6th, 2024. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holly Prain, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Woosley.
Here.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logsden.
Here.
And Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Are there any additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to switch the public comment and the first couple items on the agenda. And I've been asked to go initially to Lauren Carr. Lauren, are you able to hear me? Okay.
I can.
All right.
Can you see my screen, Judge? Is everything?
All right. Can you
Can I
hear
get
me,
a
Lauren?
thumbs
All right.
up?
All right. I don't know. Lauren is with the CAICO, and she is the CAICO Opioid Settlements Advisor. Over the last couple of years, there have been a number of lawsuits across the country involving the distribution of opioids and the manufacturers and the distributors involved in those medicines. Oldham County Fiscal Court has been one of basically all the cities and the counties in the state involved in a number of lawsuits to recover funds from the opioid manufacturers and distributors in relation to the addictions and other problems that have been caused by opioids. So far, we have received a number of requests for money for opioid treatment programs. The county has received at this point $814,000 in opioid settlement money. We're expecting to receive additional checks on a probably quarterly basis for the next 19 years. A lot of money's coming in to help treat people who have been victims of opioid abuse, and to try to educate the public away from the abuse of this product. Right now, I have 4 or 5 requests on file or been notified of people who are seeking funding for all kinds of different things to try to address the issue. So far, Oldham County Fiscal Court has allocated $20,000 to Operation Parent for a opioid education program, which will be held, I believe, early September or late August here. I can't remember the exact date, but you'll be hearing about it. Lauren Carr from CAECO is with us in Frankfurt right now, and this is the very first time we've tried to have a remote meeting or a presentation from someone not in our fiscal court chamber. So, Lauren, I welcome you. Can you hear me?
What a joy of technology. And I just want to say, I hope you guys can hear me. I am attending a conference on this issue on national opioids. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'll ask the volume to be turned up just a little bit more. We can't see you. We're supposed to be able to see you as well.
See me. Okay. Can you see me
You
now?
are there. Okay, great. All right, great. Couldn't see.
I just wanted to take the moment to come up here, and I have a brief presentation for you all, but I am so pleased that CAECO brought this position. So with the conversation around opioid settlements, especially with local governments, it's how to invest these dollars. And there's a lot of unknowns around it, and we want to set counties up for success. And so we have been actively working with the commission. We have been trying to provide streamlined communication and guidelines. And that event is on September 14th. And my family and I will be attending, not only because I'm a parent, but also attending the Oldham County Operation Parent event. So I look forward to that. I'm going to share my screen and go through a brief presentation just to try to talk about the buckets and what we have been working on. And then I will forward this information out to all the magistrates and the fiscal court members, so you all have it. So I'm going to share my screen, and I apologize. I am attending a conference, and so if there's any background noise, I apologize about that. So, all right. So here's me. You can reach out. This is a new position at CAECO. You can reach out to me at any time to ask general settlement questions, whether it's strategic planning, whether you have received a proposal, wanting to know allowable uses. What we have to go by is what the commission, who is the regulatory, as you know, the pots of money went 50% to the state and 50% to the local governments. But that state oversees that. And so trying to provide that communication and to really see what are the best ways to utilize these funds, because when we come in 10 years, we want to see that we have been able to make a difference. One of the resources that we have on our website is a opioid settlement resource library, and it has a sample MOU. So if you grant out funds to a nonprofit or any organization, it covers that liability with the fiscal court for that reporting requirements. And I'll talk about those reporting requirements in just a few minutes. But we've also have just a sample RFP. So for example, if you wanted to gather information, what I have learned from counties is that a lot of people are asking for the money, and it is trying to see, get the bad actors get the bad actors out of the group. So that MOU protects the fiscal court from putting those reporting requirements and actually saying what they're going to do with this money, with what they are going to do. The allowable uses are probably in 5 buckets, are in just 5 buckets. So prevention, whether that is media campaigns, youth-based prevention. I know that Oldham County has worked with Operation Parent, which I have worked with when I started in my small community coalition. They've been around for forever. But harm reduction, overdose prevention, so keeping people alive and having those access to that life-saving medication, treatment, recovery support, so that might be that wraparound services. One of the things that I have heard, and we can answer these questions, is how can we do these wraparound supports with, say, law enforcement? So I know Boone County, they have hired social workers. They have hired social workers in their law enforcement department to help those individuals with that substance use disorder, opioid use disorder in that crisis. And then also any kind of leadership planning coordination, whether you need to do a needs assessment or do some research for that. I'm going to go really fast because I want to answer the questions. Now, the reporting requirements, the state commission, so that is through the Office of Attorney General, they can oversee the records for 5 years. So right now, the quarterly certifications are due out of each quarter, but we are actively working with the commission because they're going to be asking for more information. They are going to want to know where these dollars went, how many people were impacted, and different things like that. Not only because of the funding, but the media and the public and different things like that. And so setting counties up for success and having reporting that's not too burdensome on counties. So we are trying to work towards maybe a annual report, whether that be that's more able to. And I'm actually gonna stop the share because I know we have just a few minutes, but I do want to put this up here. We do have an upcoming Leadership Institute training. It is in Owensboro, but it is continuing education classes, but we are going to be going over different avenues that counties have been investing in or different ideas. So there'll be somebody talking with an EMS wraparound program. There will be individuals that's talking about prevention and ACEs and how, you know, there's adverse childhood experiences, but how can we make those positive childhood experiences so we can change that generational trauma? And then we're going to have a component of a jail. So with the ADA and the MOUD in jail, there's some conversation around that. And so I just wanted to put that up there to you. I also want to reiterate that I am at CAECO. So please, I'm going to forward this presentation out to the fiscal court, but please reach out to me if you have questions as far as a proposal or different things. I just wanted you all to know that we are here to help counties. I'm attending an event at Notre Dame University, and one of the biggest things is there's not a lot of county support, and so even having the service here is really important. And so I just want to reiterate that fact. I'm going to stop the share of the screen and hopefully answer any questions that you all may have. My contact information is up there. I know we just have a few minutes. And then again, I just wanted to thank you all for having the opportunity to have me present. And I will be in Oldham County on September 14th.
All right. Well, thank you, Lauren. Does any member of the court have any questions right now? Or I think we'll probably forego the question just to make it simplified. You are our initial invitee on the new technology here, and I think Jay McDowell and Larry Brannon for working hard today to try to get this to work out. We didn't know if it would work or not, but it did work. I think our audio here has been reasonably good, but probably could be a little bit better for the people in the fiscal courtroom. But as I said, Lauren, right now we've got $814,000, almost $815,000 in the county government that's been allocated from the opioid distribution. So we're anxious to be able to put this money to work in an effective way to help the people in our community who need treatment and to avoid these problems in the future, both as individuals and as families. So we're receiving requests for grants and looking at programs. And as she mentioned, the Opioid Commission, which is the final authority on whether or not a grant can be approved, at least the final authority in Kentucky. But as I understand it, each of the opioid settlements has its own administrator who can actually possibly override the state opioid commission. So we want to make sure that the money is used in a justifiable and effective manner. It can't be used for something that's completely different. But Lauren, if you're still there, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate your time today.
I'm still here. And
Yes, sir.
thank you all again.
Yep.
And I will forward
a question for her.
the PowerPoint presentation. Is there a question?
Yes, we did.
I would love
I have
answer
to
the
repeat
question,
it
yes.
for you because your mic's not. What is your question?
My question is, Judge, you mentioned we had $815,000 already been sent to us, and you said there was more money forthcoming for how many years?
I believe 19 years is what, it's kind of like the tobacco settlement. There's billions and billions involved here. Am I correct on that, Lauren?
So what I can do is there are two settlements that have been allocated to the state of Kentucky. We have the amounts on our website. The first was the Johnson & Johnson and the distributors. Now that will be paid over the course of 18 years. You probably got a lump sum back in 2022, and then you'll receive smaller payments over time. The Henry settlement was a pharmacy settlement, which those allocations just went out about April of this year. But when we talk about the long term and sustainability, I believe that there will be more litigation to come, and so there is the opportunity to invest this money wisely, but also think about getting it on the upstream approach and prevention. So we're not reoccurring. That's kind of what was the settlement of this conference was, what we have learned from the tobacco settlement and how we can reinvent that. So did I answer your question?
One more question. You gave us a lot of different things that the money could be spent on. Do you have, does the commission or the group that you represent, is there boilerplate type grant paper that you can use? In other words, so you don't have to try to reinvent the wheel on everything that you see? Is there any literature that you can use? It's already been pre-programmed for you all to read, or all we got to do is fill in the particulars.
Lauren has provided us with a memorandum of understanding that we have referred to Mr. Baxter's office for approval that we would use to fill in the blanks on what it might be. In other words, it could be an in-office treatment. It might be a device that you use for something. It could be a public gathering. There's a lot of different potential approaches to helping solve this problem. So the form that's been provided lets us fill that in, ask for details to justify how the money was used later. So there is a basic form to use, but it's not exactly fill in the blank.
In other words, we're not out there flying.
No, we're not flying by the seat of our pants here. We're okay. One more question?
Sure. Just a quick follow-up on that. So if we come up with some ideas that we would like to pursue, is there somebody that we can vet those with Lauren or somebody?
Yes, right.
So
Right.
that we, if we did something like that and put money out there, then they wouldn't come back and say, no, that wasn't allowed, and then we'd have to pay it back and whatever. So
There is no guaranteed acceptance of any program. It's just reviewed after the fact on a quarterly basis, and you have to hope you did it right to not to have to repay the funds.
okay, thank you.
That's one of the tricky things about this. So we want to be sure that we're standing on solid ground moving forward. But I don't think it's going to be impossible because if it's impossible, nobody will be able to do it. So. Lauren's gone, so thank you very much for joining with us here, and I appreciate the people who are waiting to talk about other issues here. She had to be on early because of her commitment she had. All right, now I'm going to move on to the next agenda item. That's a public comment. If you've come to speak about something other than one of the items listed on the agenda, I invite you to come forward now. If you've come to speak about something that we're going to be discussing later in a hearing or a resolution, I'll be happy to hear you at that point, but please wait until we get to that item. So anybody for public comment on something else? Pardon? No, if you want to talk about the second reading here of the proposed fee for 911, is that what you want to talk about, Bob? Correct. Yeah, well, there'll be a chance to talk at that time during that thing. We'll allow pro and con comments at that point. Okay, I'm going to close the regular public comment and go on to the first item. The next item on the agenda here today is the Peewee Valley Fire Department presentation. All right, we have our chairman, Burkhart, and Officer...
Chief Matt York.
Chief Matt York. Okay, thank you, Matt.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Joe Burkhart. First item on the special purpose governmental entities packet that you received is the 2024 tax rate, which will be 10 cents for each $100 valuation. This remains the same as it has been for a number of years. The next item is the budget summary provided under the special purpose government entities format. Our projected revenue for 2024-2025 is $758,534. This is made up of taxes of $685,976. Approximately 2/3 of those property taxes come from Oldham County, 1/3 comes from Shelby County. The intergovernment revenue of $16,358. Charges for services, $300, others, $900, and interest at $55,000 for the projected year. As I said, this totals the $758,534. We have carryover of $1,252,565. So our total available is $2,012,000. Under appropriations, personnel, $178,909. Operations at $373,530. Admin and reserves at $1,350,673. capital outlay, we're projecting 107,986. And this appropriations obviously balances with the total availability. There are a few things that I'd like to mention just as notes regarding the department. Chris Hounds has retired as our member of the board after quite a few years on the board and as treasurer. He continues as our deputy chief. Steve Marcus joined the board as one of the two department reps. Todd Jones, a board member for some time, has now assumed the treasury position. Our estimated contributions to reserve for the coming years will be about $84,000. And our remaining debt is Station 2 that we opened in 2014 has a balance of $432,000 that our plan is to pay this off within the next 5 years. Major expenses over the maybe next 10 years that we anticipate are SCBAs, which are oxygen packs that we're going to have to replace within a few years, which is over $300,000. And then we'll be looking at a new engine or a Quint. This past year, we formed a committee, a maintenance and purchasing committee of large, principally engines, made up, headed by Matt, with Chris on, Matt Engelmeyer, and the fourth, Bob Hamilton, who was chief for over 20 years. These are well-experienced individuals, and they are going to continue to study the program on are we able to maintain equipment or do we have to purchase new equipment? The one problem that many departments run into throughout this process is availability of parts. You might have a 25-year-old engine with 30,000 miles on it that runs great, but parts aren't available. So that's always an issue. So you may have to cannibalize something to make it work, but we think that this group of quite experienced individuals can at least advise and counsel the board as what we should be doing. Matt York came on as a full-time chief in July of last year. First individual at Peewee Valley Fire Department other than volunteers. And one of his principal activities over the past 12 months has been addressing our response time. That's our main concern within Peewee Valley. Can we get there? How can we get there as quickly as possible? And with volunteers, as you can well imagine, you rely on their movement from their work or from their home to the station before you can get the equipment rolling. We're moving into part-time employees, as it were. We have 30 to 35 firefighters, and a number of those have expressed their interest in working 2 to 3 days a week at the firehouse, and we have established a part-time program addressing 2 to 3 days at this point, and it's our intention that we might be able to move all the way to a 5-day week. And this has improved our response time. When we get a dispatch, we can get the personnel and equipment rolling immediately.
And this is daytime staffing. So typically during normal business hours is where we found we were deficient in our volunteer response time. So moving forward, we want to try to get people in the firehouse during the business hours.
Finally, we had our annual audit, and once again, we're clean. Opinions on both the financial and internal controls. That's our target, and we continue to meet that target.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Burkhardt. Questions, Magistrate Logston?
Yes, sir. Chief, what's our total volunteer in Peewee Valley, both
So-
firehouses?
We have 35 total members, but that includes junior firefighters, recruit firefighters. Let's say out of that 35, we probably have 25 true active that are actively making runs and training that are certified firefighters.
Okay.
And that's between the two stations.
And I also want to thank you for coming on board. You've done a great job since
Thank
you've
you.
been there.
Thank you.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Just a quick question on your debt service here on your report. It shows 0, but you were saying 400 some thousand left on the your building. Is that reflected on this report?
It's not because it's a lease.
I'm sorry.
It's not a long-term debt, it's a lease. We have a lease on the station, not a,
Oh, it's not okay. It's not a mortgage or not a long-term debt. Okay.
Magistrate Hawkins.
I've got a question about the volunteers as well. Are they compensated at all, gas, time? And what is the compensation rate? And has that thought about being increased to increase volunteers or support of volunteer firefighters?
So they currently do receive a stipend or a reimbursement for fuel and vehicle wear and tear, and we just did increase it. I think we followed the 3.4% COLA increase.
Okay.
Right now, I think that rate is $15.51 per run per training.
So if the run takes 3 hours, it's still $15.51?
We pay first hour, we
Okay.
pay a minimum of $15.51, and then
Okay.
after that, we pay by the hour.
$15.51 per hour? Okay. Has there been any kind of talk about maybe increasing that at all, or
So we did just increase it the
the
51
3.4%?
Right, the 51 cents.
Okay,
yeah.
and that is going to be annually going forward, or?
We're going to visit it
Yeah.
on an annual basis as our budget comes around. But I mean, our intentions are to continue to incentivize these people to show up and make the runs. So
Yeah, I think an increased incentive is a good idea. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, I'll make my comment here, but not ask for a response from you because you probably won't want to give me one. But 14 years ago, when I became county judge, I questioned why we had 55 or 60,000 people here in the 6 fire departments. Now we've got 70,000 people in the 5 or 6 fire departments. I respect each department individually and think they do a great job. But as a community member, it just seems to me there's got to be some repetition or, that we need to work together more closely and work toward a county fire department. We have a county school system, a county police department, a county library, but we don't have 6 library systems or 6 police departments, but we got 6 fire departments. It doesn't make sense to me, but I know it maybe makes sense to everybody in the service. But looking into it from the outside, I feel like we could work work together more effectively.
Sure. Just to touch on that a little bid. So we do have a countywide mutual aid agreement amongst the departments. So any major house fire or major event comes in, we're all responding together anyway. The fire chiefs meet on an irregular basis. There's an email thread going around. So we're in constant communication with each other. So essentially we are working together as one. We all did the same training.
Right.
We all have a countywide Oldham County recruit class.
I realize that, and I certainly don't want to. I'm not trying to debate the point. Just raise the point is the revenue that you have and that other departments have is based to quite a large extent on just where your service area is. A few years ago we had a 500,000 square foot warehouse land in Buckner. I don't know the exact number, but South Oldham got $50,000 in property tax for that. you guys didn't get anything for it. But we'll respond to a fire there. But some areas are more prone to get the economic development that is going to generate additional revenue for the departments. And all of us as a county are trying to promote economic development within our county in all the appropriate places it goes, so that when we build out Oldham Reserve, LaGrange is going to pick up a lot more revenue from that won't go to help the other departments provide the services and the equipment that they need. So I wish there's a way of balancing that all out. So because everybody, we're a community and not 300 miles of separate communities.
I anticipated you asking this question.
Okay.
You've asked it the last 2 years, so why wouldn't you ask it again? And very simply, you're asking, how are the merger talks going between Peewee and South Oldham? We met several times over the last year. Our last meeting was in February of this past year and of this current year. David Thompson, Patrick Stess, Bill Blakely, Todd Jones, Adam Hack, and myself met late February. As you well know, South Oldham and Peewee are volunteer departments established by KRS Chapter 75, the Kentucky Revised Statutes, in about 1950, give or take. As the Kentucky legislators were adopting KRS 75, it is our understanding that Crestwood increased their 18-member emergency response board to a 24-member Inc. board with South Oldham Fire District as a direct report. This took place in about 1970. South Oldham and Peewee Valley are very different on their community demographics. South Oldham is about 50% larger than we are from a revenue standpoint and has a significant commercial presence. Peewee Valley might have 5 commercial enterprises throughout its district, which includes the state prison, schools, churches, primarily residential. And our runs are about 50-50 between medical and fire. As was mentioned, both provide mutual aid, and especially to each other. We provide a few more just because South Oldham has more incidents and more opportunity to provide assistance in their runs. South Oldham is currently addressing Crestwood's growing commercial activity, ensuring they have sufficient equipment and trained personnel to meet those future needs. As discussed earlier, Peewee Valley's focus is on personnel assignments and their availability to minimize our response time. And we've discussed our part-time program, so I'll skip over that. The board believes, the Peewee Valley Fire District Board believes that reporting to a 24-member board consisting primarily of Crestwood's business folks and property holders is not in the best interest of the Peewee Valley Fire District constituency. Further, it's not in the best interest of our residents to become a significantly minor and subordinate member of the Crestwood Inc. board. We have 7 board members. They have a 24-member Inc. board. They've mentioned that many of our board members might become included in the Inc. board, but it'd still be a very minor component. If South Oldham has continuing interest in merging the 2 districts, then a reorganization of their governance structure will be necessary to move the discussions forward. That's our position.
Thank you for that position, and I'm not promoting it. I'm just trying to promote the idea of a service that everybody provides working together, and be like, I don't know, a good example. We've got, McDonald's in the county, but we wouldn't, if we had 6 McDonald's, have 6 franchisees, they'd all be competing with each other versus working together. They want the brand to go up. But so anyway, I think everybody does a great job. Just hope that you can continue to work together and look for ways. And I understand that you would not want to be a minority group in a larger organization. But we're all part of Oldham County, so how we can work together best is yet to be determined, or we're still working at it, so. Okay, well, thank you, guys. Appreciate you being here again this year, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. All right. Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
all. Thank you.
Let's see, we've got a bid opening here to do, and then eventually here I'm going to ask that the public hearing be moved up a little bit, because I think there are people who've come for that probably would just soon not have to sit here for an hour before we get to it. They'd like to
Judge, what about the
get to
payables?
what they want to talk about. And
What about payables?
pardon?
Payables.
Yeah, let's do after payroll. Let's move up the public hearing if that's all. Everybody's all right. But next thing we're going to do is open a bid for truck here. Okay, this is for a vehicle for engineering department pickup truck. Champion Chevrolet is we have more than one bid, okay, $33,141 from Champion Chevrolet.
What kind of vehicle is it, Judge?
It's a pickup crew cab, 4-wheel drive crew cab. Jim Silliman here, okay, that's what you asked for, right? What was this from?
Is it a Chevy or a Dodge?
It's a Chevy, sorry, Champion Chevrolet, and that crew
Well,
cab.
I know
Yes, it's just
Champion
a
Chevrolet.
mid-sized work
Colorado.
truck, similar to what we have already in our fleet.
2024 Chevrolet Colorado 4-wheel crew cab. Well, I don't know what WT means on the end there.
Work truck.
Work truck, oh, okay. Does that make sense? The next bid is from Legacy Brothers of Douglas, Georgia, okay, $40,373. So, okay. It appears that the $33,000 bid is the lower bid. Okay, so. All right, thank you. All right.
When you bring it back.
All right, we have our payables, our bills that we pay each 2 weeks. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
Judge, I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll jump down to community business, item D in your packet, and that would be the second reading of a public hearing regarding a 911 fee ordinance. This is an ordinance repealing and replacing Oldham County Ordinance 7340-761 relating to the collection of a 911 emergency dispatch services fee and establishing a service fee for enhanced 911 emergency dispatch services to the owners of real property in Oldham County. This is a second reading of this public hearing, so that anyone who is in favor of the ordinance will be able to speak. Anyone who is in opposition to the ordinance will be able to speak their opinion as well. So first thing I'd like to do is I'll go to Magistrate Hounds now, who can encapsulate the ordinance for us.
Thank you, Judge. We've been working on something like this for a while. Currently, Oldham County Central Dispatch receives revenue in 3 forms. It's cell phone, landline, and then a commitment from the general fund. Over the past several years, the commitment from the general fund has increased because the landlines have decreased. A lot of people probably in this room don't have a landline. There are some of us that still do have a landline. I have a Up until recently, my daughter didn't have a cell phone, so I didn't want to leave her at the house and not be able to call out, so that's why we had the landline. But what's happened over the past several years is that the cost of operations of 911 has increased significantly. The cost of the equipment, maintaining the equipment, the cost of compensation for the employees has increased, justifiably so. If you remember, I guess it was probably 2 years ago, we did an amendment to increase the salary of the police officers, and we were struggling with the same situation with the dispatchers. Director Glass has done a phenomenal job in trying to come up with measures to continually try to keep costs in that down. But we are in a position now where the cost of operating the dispatch is becoming a bigger burden on the county side. Stan Clark, the CFO, was tasked with creating the ordinance and coming up with the fee structure. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here today, so I'm pinch hitting, for lack of a better term. So the basic thing about the ordinance is it is a tiered approach to where a residential property occupied would pay a $75 yearly fee. We would be dropping the $24 landline fee. So if you have a landline, we're going to drop that $25. If you don't have a landline, then there's no delta for you. But trying to spread the cost of 911 out, it's unfair, obviously, to charge one group or one agency or one person because everybody has the potential to use 911. When you call 911, nobody calls on their good days. They call on their bad days. Spouse having a heart attack, injury accident on I-71, whatever the case may be. And we've had to, because of the technology, we have to keep increasing what is 911, what is in the dispatch service. Director Glass has been working on the Next Gen 911, which is a requirement by the state and the federal government. And now we have the ability that we can, I'm going to say almost pinpoint. Director Glass may want to correct me, but if someone calls from a cell phone, we have a really good idea of where they are. It's not a matter of if you were to call from any location, you don't know where you are. We have this issue down 71 where somebody will say, I just passed the LaGrange exit. My definition of passing the LaGrange exit is not Crestwood. But people that don't know the area, just passing the LaGrange exit to them may be Crestwood. So we have the ability to do that. With Next Gen 911, it will better be able to do location of a cell phone. I don't know the number of calls off the top of my head. I was trying to find the email, but it's not worth searching for. Director Glass may be able to tell us if it's important. But our call volume is predominantly coming from 911, is coming from cell phones and not from landlines. So that's where our increase is coming from. It is a tiered approach. So there are, you have residential, you have different forms of commercial that are in there in the ordinance. And it's designed to kind of spread it out and not make it so cumbersome. This is also an ordinance that was passed very similarly in Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties and in other surrounding counties. Oldham, we're kind of one of the last ones in our region to do something like this. And so that's where we stand today.
All right, thank you. We've had this posted for a while, and I believe some people have read it and are here to comment on it. I'll reinforce the fact that it costs a lot more to operate the emergency services dispatch program than you might imagine if you weren't actually involved in it on a day-to-day basis. You pick up your phone, cell phone, home phone, call 911, we answer. In other counties, you can get put on hold. I think if someone's having a heart attack in your home and you call 911 and they say, hold on, please. I won't say what county I've been in that's happened, but it's a neighboring county. Other counties have talked to us about trying to use our 911 service because the service that they go through with the state police, they don't feel is efficient or effective as ours is. I'm not criticizing state police, but some state police posts handle a lot of counties, and for whatever reason, some of our neighbors have asked to join ours, but when push came to shove, we actually couldn't afford to be involved with our service. But so we're very conscious about not trying to raise fees to just for the heck of it, but right now we're putting up a $2 million communications tower at Ballardsville, at the fire station. Well, there was an area out there that was just not quite as effective, had some dead spots to it. We have researched that, tried to fix that problem so anyone calling from that area can be instantaneously served. We've also had personnel issues. We compete with other counties, principally Jefferson County, in paying for our dispatch of people. It's not people want competitive salaries, and they want salaries that are pretty much comparable to everything else in the region. And of course, they always want to be comparable to the top payer in the region, not a lesser payer. So we have to do that, and we have 24-hour service, and we have expensive equipment. We spent a lot of money with Motorola recently to have the best equipment over the last few years. I believe I'm correct on this, but you remember a few weeks ago we heard about the assassination attempt on President Trump at Butler, Pennsylvania. It was all of the law enforcement present at the scene could not communicate directly with each other. Some had to send text messages and their wireless communication did not communicate with somebody else's. Right now, we're able to talk to all the other, principally Jefferson County, in this region because a lot of things happen between them and us and vice versa. And but we've had to step up our costs to be able to do that. So we're trying to provide the best service we possibly can. Yes, this is not fair. $2 for a landline, 70 cents is put on your cell phone. The cell phone, we get 50 cents out of the 70 cents that's on each cell phone. So as more people have gone to cell phones from landlines, our income for this service has gone down. This service is actually one that was instituted by the legislature through a specific KRS I have in front of me here that sets up a fee service for emergency dispatch. It wasn't an idea we had on our own. It's something that is statewide, and the problem for paying for this is statewide. We have been in contact with our legislators and have asked for relief. We said, can't you get this cell phone service fee up higher so that everybody is treated equally and that the cost of this service does not land on the property owners? We've been in contact with our leader of the House of Representatives, David Osborne, been in contact with Jason Nemus about this. They expressed support in bringing this up in the next legislative session to try to do something to get this equalized out for everybody. But we're still facing a problem in the short run. So we don't have a good explanation or a good answer for the problem other than trying to, pick up some more revenue somewhere. Would be about $1 million short, and the projection here is that with these changes, the county would pick up about 1.6 million, I believe, is what Mr. Clark left us, who can't be here today. But nevertheless, this is one of these places that puts us all between a rock and a hard place. So now I'm going to go on to the public hearing part of this, and ask, there may be someone here to speak in favor of it. Perhaps you think that I'm doing that, or Magistrate Hounds. We're trying to present the facts. If there's anyone to speak in favor of this, be happy to have you come forward now. I didn't think so. Is there anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to it? Please, when you come forward, give us your name and address, and we'll be happy to hear you.
4 minutes, Judge.
Pardon?
4 minutes. What's the time?
Yes, we generally allow 4 minutes for each, up to 4 minutes for each speaker. I won't say it's an absolute something if you have more points to go on, but most people can make their points in about 4 or 5 minutes.
I'm Bob Jones. I live at 3215 Highway 6094 in the Brownsboro area. And I'm not against the EMS. I think it's a great thing. But I do have some questions. Years ago, everybody had a home phone. Now, everybody has a cell phone. You had one home phone. You didn't carry it around with you. But now, my wife has a phone. I have a phone. You charge $2 a month for the landline, 50 cents, I understand, a month for a cell phone. So you'd be losing $1. Understand that. But my son and his wife have cell phones, and their 2 children have cell phones. That's an even. My other son has 2 his wife and son, and 1 child has a cell phone. My concern is, though, you're going to drop the $24. Is that what I understand? But you're going to $75. So you got $51 more. And if you take the 24 from that, you're doubling what you got before. I still think that it shouldn't be put on residential. It ought to be put on the phone user in the county. And I think, having been a former member of the legislature, you can get that done. Now, a lot of people say, oh, no, the telephone companies will be against it. They're going to be against EMS. And it's hard to be against EMS. And they're already collecting money. So all you have to do is make an adjustment. So I'm not against it. I think you're taking the wrong approach at this time. And I think you ought to go to the legislature first. Thank you.
I'm not going to try to correct you mentioned EMS, but the dispatch serves fire, police, EMS, animal control. There's quite a few different groups reached by dispatch. And I wouldn't say, actually, it's not the fact that you're right. You having 2 cell phones and paying us collecting $1 instead of 2 from you, we lose $1, or the county loses $1. The fact of the matter is that the cell phone fee is not high enough either. That's probably the real problem here. Anybody else like to speak on this? You're all welcome.
How y'all doing? I'm Jay Hall, 1503 Kamer Drive, LaGrange, Kentucky. And like Mr. Jones, my elder mentor, he said everything I've got to say pretty eloquently and pretty well, what I want to say. But I'm not here to oppose raising revenue for 911. I think we all would agree that we need 911 services in this county, and that we're much better off that we have these services today than we did 20-some years ago when we didn't have them. So at the outset, that's what I would like to say. I have probably called 911 myself at least 10 times in the last 10 years, and every time I've called them on this device right here. I don't ever recall using my landline to call 911 or being at my home or anybody else's home. It's usually when I'm traveling down I-71 or on 146 and I see somebody broke down or having a problem or something that needs to be reported to the police that, and I think I've called animal control because I saw a dog out once and I thought that somebody lost their nice dog and it's going to get hit, you know, and I thought it's a good opportunity to call. And so I definitely see the importance of it, but in my opinion, the charge needs to be on the cell phone. And I understand your all's dilemma in being able to get that done to this point because there's a cap on it. I think it's about 70 cents, and the state takes 20 cents of that 70 cents, and it leaves the county with 50 cents a cell phone. Now, to Mr. Jones's point, in my household, there's just me and my wife, and we each have a cell phone, but we both have iPads, and I think our iPads also have a telephone number associated with it in order to do everything we got to do on our iPad. I don't know if you'd be able to get money off the iPad or not, but I know a lot of people do have iPads, and maybe you could get money off of them. But I'm all for you if you can, because I just think when I call 911, I use this, and this device ought to be charged for it. And I do believe that you could work with your legislators, and I think they have an interest in trying to help you. So hopefully they can do that, and you have a short-term problem that you're going to have to maybe continue to Band-Aid like you've been Band-Aiding, and I understand it's getting more and more expensive. But if they could pass a bill in the next session, you could probably have your problem solved by July 1 of 2025. So that's all I have to say, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Pull this down a little bit. Jason Kinzer, 119 West Main Street here in LaGrange. My question is, and I think the two gentlemen before me have said the same thing kind of as well. From what I understand, we're more than doubling the amount that's coming in. And I understand that the rest of where the money is coming from is from the general fund. So everybody knows we need 911. I've, like you, Judge, I've been to Jefferson County. I've actually called 911 and been put on hold, and I couldn't believe it. I was flabbergasted. So obviously everyone knows we need 911. My question is maybe there are some other places from the general fund that are not necessary that we could make some trims and things to kind of help out with that. Everybody's been under the gun with inflation and with the cost of everything going through the roof. So obviously 911 is important, but there are perhaps other places that we could look at from the general fund that could be trimmed a little bit to help 911 out. So that's my thoughts on it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
Paul Shervanack, live on Myers Avenue in Crestwood. I have a couple questions for clarity. Like the others, I agree. 911 is essential, and we all need to be behind it. But doubling the rates on the homeowners, I feel the same way. It needs to be spread out amongst the phone users. On that, it's my understanding the 24 budget was roughly $475,000 for 911, and now you're shooting for 1.6 with this proposal. Am I wrong there?
The current budget is it's over $2 million, but that includes the capital of the antenna. The operating expenses for dispatch is about $1.4 million.
Okay, I misunderstood.
The 400,000 may be the revenue item. I can look
It's
it
the
up.
two lines under.
Well, that's how 400 is what came in between the cell phones and the landlines, but it wasn't. That's just what that was the revenue, but not the expense. The expense was
Okay,
like
I misunderstood.
1.3 or 4. something like
Okay.
that. That was the revenue money.
Okay, my other issue with this is if you go to point 11, or G, you're going to create another appeals board for this. This is going to be under the property tax. You've already got an appeals board there. Why do you need to form another appeals board for this? It seems like that's just additional waste.
Well, it's a different type of appeal. The appeals board has to do with the assessment of your property. And
Right.
this would have to do with whether or not your property fit a certain classification
But it's
in
still
relation to
based
the
on
ordinance.
but it's still based on your property assessment.
Well, you could dispute it. I'm not.
Well, you're talking.
I mean,
you're
I
talking
understand.
how many units you have on a property, and that's already in your assessment, in your property assessment.
Right, but the
Judge, can I intervene?
sure.
Sir, the appeals board that is designated for the PVA and for your assessments, that's a statutorily defined appeals board. That statute was enacted by the legislature. This is an ordinance that obviously the county is considering, and the appeal that would be as to the classification of your property under the ordinance itself. They have separate functions, and the statutory authority of the appeals board for the PVA does not include the ability to hear these appeals. That's why there's a separate appeals board.
Okay, so it's not based on the assessment. Those classifications, then you're not basing on the assessment.
It's based upon the classification of the property. So if your property is classified as residential, if it's commercial, what size commercial, that kind of thing. Those would be the natures of the appeals relative to the 911 fee. And again, that's based upon the ordinance. And I certainly understand your concern that there's a duplication here. But,
I mean, it's just like you're talking with the fire departments. You know, I understand the merger. You can consolidate and you cut back on overhead. It's the same kind of thing here. If you can combine this with the assessment board or any way you can, that would cut down on some of this cost, and you don't have to raise our rates so much.
The boards are non-paid boards, sir. There's no payment for the
Still
board.
pay you to sit and you're still collecting the salary and eating up your time in doing it, aren't you? It's still a cost.
I understand your point, and I think
I just
The,
there's I feel like there's a lot of waste in government these days, and we could probably find a way to do this without increasing everybody's taxes, doubling everybody's taxes. I mean, my assessment just went up. I finally got my homestead deduction, and now it seems like you're going to take it right back again. So it just seems, Oldham County, we pay more taxes than I think all but two other counties in this state. And it seems to me we can find a way to cut some of our waste and keep our fees where they are. We all need to pay it, but
hey,
doubling our cost.
we're all sympathetic with your point of view sitting here, because we're paying these taxes too, and I'm not going to defend the county government. I'll just say that we're 8 cents out of each tax dollar you pay. We're not 50 cents or a quarter. We're just 8 cents out of every tax dollar. So we're getting quite a bit for that 8 cents, and I agree with you. That seems like a duplication, but Mr. Baxter tried to make the point. The one thing's a state statute, the other thing's an ordinance, and the statute doesn't really address having the commissioners for the Board of Appeals deal with whether or not your appeal under how you were classified in this particular circumstance. That seems like they could go together, but there's a conflict there, and I agree.
And again, I think that feeds more credence to going to the legislature
Right.
first.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, believe me.
So.
We're trying to put it where it belongs, because every county in this state has the same problem. They're all short They're all short. There's nobody, yeah.
Personally, I would appreciate if y'all go there first.
Yeah.
Instead, because you aren't going to drop it after you raise it. I know that. So if we can work it through the state, and that's more equitable for the whole state.
Right.
So appreciate
I
you.
agree.
Can you give us
Thank
your name again? We didn't catch your name.
Paul Shervenak.
Will you spell the last name?
CHERVENAK.
Just like it sounds.
He lives on Myers Avenue in Crestwood.
Yes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Robin Vessels. I live at 1320 Bluegrass Parkway in Oldham County, and I am here to speak against the proposed 911 fee ordinance as it is written. Magistrate Hounds, during your presentation about the ordinance, you referenced the word occupied. The word occupied does not appear anywhere in this proposed ordinance, so I do want to bring that to your attention. I have also done some extensive research. I have researched adjoining counties. The only adjoining county that has a 911 fee is Shelby County. That ordinance went into effect in 2019, 5 years ago. For Shelby County, the rate is $48 per occupied residential and commercial unit located upon each parcel of real property. As a comparison between Shelby and Oldham County proposes a fee of $75 for up to 3 dwellings on a parcel of property. For Shelby County, that fee would be 48 times 3, or $144. For high-density residential apartments, the Oldham County fee is $1,000. As an example, how many apartment units are there in Oldham Oaks? Let's say there's 100. In Shelby County, that fee imposed would be a per unit fee, which means if there were 100 units, the fee would be $4,800. The fee difference between Shelby and Oldham County, high density owners would pay $3,800 less in Oldham County. Your proposed ordinance says, whereas 911 service fees imposed on each residential and commercial unit will result in equitable distribution of the burden of funding 911 emergency dispatch services, I must ask, equitable to whom? What kind of research was done by the Finance Committee, by the Public Safety Committee to ascertain what the fee should be? Regarding the usage of 911, what was the data regarding the usage? Almost daily, I am reading about 911 being shut down, accidents involving multiple vehicles. What percentage of 911 usage is attributable to 71? To trucks getting stuck on the train track in Crestwood? For medical emergencies, for fires, what does your research show? What is the revenue amount that you need, and how is that figure derived? Where is the cost analysis study? Your ordinance states that mobile homes, which are identified by the PVA with a code of 999, would be exempt from paying the tax. Why? For comparison, in Boone County, mobile home owners pay a fee of $75. For mobile home park owners, they pay the fee for every home that is owned by the mobile home park. For instance, let's say a mobile home park in LaGrange. Some of the mobile homes are owned by the corporation, some are owned by individuals. In Boone County, the corporation would pay a $75 per dwelling unit that they own. If an individual owned the mobile home that was on land owned by the mobile home park, the owner of the mobile home would pay the $75. The second issue I want to talk about is this: the automatic increase in the fee in accordance with the increase in the Consumer Price Index. Shelby County's ordinance does not contain this automatic increased language. Whose salary increases in accordance with the Consumer Price Index? whose salary increases in accordance with the Consumer Price Index? That would be yours.
Judge, can we give her more time?
Okay.
And who gets to vote to increase their salary each year according to the Consumer Price Index? Well, that would be you, and you, and you, and you. Not you. You.
No, I don't vote, ma'am.
And you, and you. The other homeowners, the ones that do not get to vote themselves an increase, do not see their own pay increasing in accordance with the CPI. And those who do not know what the CPI means, it is an indicator as to what the rate of inflation is. But you all do not need to worry because your salary, as long as you are an elected official, your salary increases in accordance with the rate of inflation. And you get to vote for the increase yourselves. But you need to realize that the rest of us are not immune to the ravages of inflation. For your employees who have retired through the county's employee retirement system, when is the last time they received an increase in their pension? For homeowners who retired under the state employees retirement system, when did they last receive an increase in their pension? The answer is 2011. I would ask that this section dealing with automatic CPI increases be taken out of this proposed ordinance. If an increase is needed, bring it back before your citizens. Now, to talk about penalties if a real property owner fails to pay E911 service fees. Your ordinance says the failure of a real property owner shall be punishable as to pay the fees shall be punishable as a Class A misdemeanor. Really punishable by up to 12 months in jail and or a $500 fine. For comparison, Shelby County says failure to pay would be a Class B misdemeanor, punishable up to 90 days in jail and or a $250 fee. Shelby County also says in its ordinance that the fees may be enforced by civil collection process as well. Now let me ask you, what is the real, if the real property, what if the real property owner is a corporation? Who is jailed? No one, correct? Your ordinance as written wants to stick it to the little guy while it strives to appease the large business owners. What you have proposed is not equitable. I would request that you redo this proposed ordinance with the following suggestions. Omit the automatic CPI increase. Revisit your fee structure. Compare it not only with Shelby County, but also compare it to Kenton County, a county that has a fee of $2,380 for commercial super retail. I believe that Oldham County would have 2 Walmarts and 2 Krogers that would fit in this category. A county that also has a fee of $70 for each unit in the high residential category with a maximum of $4,610. For Oldham, that fee is a maximum of $1,000. I am requesting that you postpone voting on this proposed ordinance at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court on this?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Black, 108 North 5th Street. I'm not here today to say that you all do not need a mechanism to raise the money for 911. I think we've heard that loud and clear, that everyone knows we need 911 services when we need to seek help. However, I just don't think the tiered approach that evidently Stan Clark has put together is a fair approach. I don't know if this is accurate or not, Chris, but Jay Hall, who told me before the meeting, he says he has a 4-plex down here on 3rd Street, and if this were enacted, he'd pay $1,000 for a 4-plex apartment, whereas the guy's got 150 units, he also pays $1,000. I don't know if that's true or not true, but maybe you can clarify that.
Square footage.
So anyway, his bill, I think, is going to be $1,000, whereas I don't know what a 216 apartment unit complex will convert into, but if his is 1,000, maybe the 216 complex will be 50,000. I don't know. So that being said, I just think that the tiered approach. I don't know if a business has to pay more than a residential fee. I don't know why Jason Kinser's business, if he needs 911, someone falls ill in his restaurant, that his fee should be more than mine that I would pay at my house, $75 a year. I don't know how that makes sense. I mean, if you need 911 at his restaurant, why should he pay more than I have to get the same service? So I think that's unfair. I just feel that the whole issue should be tabled until I've been in contact with Jason Nemus for the last couple of days, and he too, and told me don't feel afraid to voice his opinion to this legislative body, that he just does not feel that any more taxes need to be put on the backs of homeowners specifically. And he told me last night that I could say that today, but he would welcome the opportunity to try to get this into even an interim session prior to January to get this discussed at the legislative level. And he thinks too that this is a statewide issue. This is just not a county issue here in Oldham County, but this affects every city and every county in the state. And he would love to see if you all could afford to delay this until see if they get some legislative action come January. So, as I said, there's many taxes we charge here in LaGrange that no one likes either. But however, we at least try to make sure everyone pays them fairly and equally. So I think, far as this goes, I would ask that you think about this and hopefully try to work to the legislator, get it placed on everyone's cell phone, and generate the money that you need to run 911. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, can we respond to some of the comments?
Yeah, let's wait till all the comments are made, and then we'll try to answer some of the questions. Does anybody else like to speak to this? Okay.
Hello, Judge and Fiscal Court. Blaine Anderson, 1414 Grandview Court in LaGrange. I'll be very brief because a lot of the comments that I was going to make have already been stated, so I don't need to reiterate myself. It is interesting. Magistrate Hounds and I, we had lunch together at the Rotary meeting today, and some interesting demographics were passed out at the meeting from High Point, who was one of our two presenters. And one of the things that kind of struck me was the city of LaGrange. I know you represent Oldham County, but in the city of LaGrange, the poverty data from 2022 census, 10.6% of the residents in LaGrange are below the poverty level. 1 in 10 of your citizens in this city are below that poverty level. $75. For a lot of us, you may say, it's a simple thing for us to pay. But it hurts people that are in that demographic group. Also, if you look at the county census data, what's the number one largest age group that has grown in the last 10 years? From 2010 to the 2022 census. It's the folks in the 65 plus age group. Those are folks in fixed incomes. They're the ones that, again, every time we pass fees, it continues to squeeze them. You know, we may say, well, like fiscal court, we haven't raised the property tax fee in, I don't know when.
14 years.
14 years. But does that mean that we're not paying more on our property tax bill? Because if my assessment went up, obviously I'm paying more. So I think we just need to look at this a little bit closer. I don't disagree with Mayor Black over here. There's a few of us that would be happy to work with our legislators and see if we can't come up with a statewide solution to this. The other one last comment I'll make is when we talk about the CPI, and just, you know, we seem to be doing that a lot lately as far as tying whether it's salaries or other things to the CPI. You take a $75 fee. Let's say this 6%, God forbid it keeps going at 6%. In 5 years, that $75 fee is $100. It doesn't take much for this thing to keep on rolling up. So I'm not a fan of doing that. I think every year, if you feel like you need more money, if there's some one-time fees that aren't happening every time, that there's an opportunity to look at the budget. If you need more money, then you come back and you vote on it, but not just make it an automatic rollover. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the court on this issue? All right, seeing no one, I'll close public comment and we'll go to the court, the Magistrate Logston.
Yes, Judge. I'm going to vote against this fee, and I've been going to since it was initiated. I still believe that it should go through the state. See if we can get the state to up the 911 fee there. I don't want to settle just with this ordinance that we have here. I don't think it's fair and equitable. I think it needs to be on every cell phone. I mean, the whole thing was supposed to be we're going to raise rates because we don't have landlines. Well, that was taking care of the landline. I think it needs to be on every cell phone. Everybody who has a cell phone, it doesn't have to go up. It could go up 50 cents, $1. I don't know what the number is, but I think we need to work through our state legislative first to see if we can get anywhere there. You know, I've heard everybody say, well, you know, the Bell South doesn't want to do it. Well, they're already doing it, or AT&T. I already get a 911 fee on it. So they already have the addresses that are there, Verizon. So all they have to do is update it. It'd be like, I mean, it's simple as doing an Excel spreadsheet where you just put another mathematical figure in there and be able to raise the rate. So I don't understand what the pushback is, not letting this go through legislative first. So that's my vote. I will not vote for this, and I will try to push it through the state and see if we can get them to help us out. And again, I am not against our dispatch at all. This has nothing to do with them. I just think there's a better way to do this than put an ordinance out there.
Okay, let's, before we have any further discussion, the next step would be to get a motion on the floor. Is there a motion on the floor that we adopt this ordinance?
Do we have to handle the ordinance, don't we have to take some type of action at this point?
I would recommend that we say it be brought on the floor for discussion and then action taken, up or down.
So we can discuss it. I'll make the motion that we approve the ordinance.
I'll second it.
Second, all right. Now, the ordinance is on the floor for discussion. Magistrate Hounds.
So a couple of comments I've heard about the cell phone piece. I think what some people may not know is that 911 services in different counties are handled the same way. You call the number, they answer the phone. It's the technology in that that Oldham County has with the radio system that we have, that not all counties have the same radio system. Therefore, not all counties have the same cost. The lay of the land in Oldham County, being in the fire service for 30 years, when we put the new radio system in, that was the first time I could talk to everybody in the county. I could not do that. When we were on VHF, you hoped when you pushed the trigger that somebody on the other end would answer you. That's not the case anymore. Everybody in this room, when you dial 911, you can look at your phone right now and you can see how many bars you have if you can call 911. I can do that now with the radio. Couldn't do that years ago. That's about the safety of the responders. Most of your fire department folks that are working in the county are volunteers. Police, fire, and EMS, we don't have enough. If the police are scattered, unfortunately, throughout the county and they need help, they need to be able to use the radio to be able to talk on the 911 system. So the 911 system is not only just you folks being able to dial from your cell phone, it's the operation of the radio that police, fire, and EMS carry. $48 in Shelby County, I can tell you right now, is not a sufficient amount of money. And talking with Chris Spalding over there, it's not covering the fees. I'm not opposed. I agree. Judge and I had a conversation about this. Jay and Judge and I were talking about it earlier today. The problem with putting it on the 911 fee, what everybody needs to understand is, I think it'll be very, very difficult, and this was a conversation I had earlier, to put the same fee for every county. Breckenridge County may not need as much as Oldham County, and Shelby County may need more than Oldham. I don't have the answers to that. So I think and I agree, we should push it towards the legislature, but Coming back, the dollars and cents really don't change. The operation of dispatch, whether it's a $75 fee on the property or it becomes don't have a number, I'm just throwing it out there, a $2 fee a month on your cell phone bill. You're right. You got 2 cell phones. You know how many cell phones I pay for? 5. Can't get rid of the mother-in-laws. I've tried a couple times and she just keeps coming back. But so, I mean, I'm paying for 5 cell phones. I understand it. It's trying to get the numbers to match. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the numbers to match. So the fee for a cell phone is not going to be 50 cents. It's not going to be $1. It's likely going to be more like $2 and some change because, as you all know, Judge mentioned it earlier, we get 50 cents of the 70 cents that's on your bill. The state, I'm not picking on them, but they don't do anything for free, right, Mr. Jones? You know that. I mean, so they're going to charge us a fee to give us our money. That is an option. We explored this option. Stan Clark put this together with input from other people. Ms. Vessel's made some comments. There was a lot of research done. It was not something we just pulled out of the air. When we put the group together, we started talking about this. The goal and objective is to pay the operating costs of dispatch. Years ago, when Deputy Judge Nuss was the dispatch director, we paid less than $100,000 out of the general fund between the cell phones and the landlines that covered dispatch. This year, just operating expenses alone is going to be in $750,000 coming out of the general fund. That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to get dispatch back to where the landlines, the cell phones, whatever it is, that revenue is covering those expenses. That was the intent of the ordinance.
Magistrate Woosley.
Judge, you mentioned earlier that you guys spoke with Representative Nemus, Representative Osborne, a couple other folks. The folks that you didn't reach out to was the magistrate that's been in 911 for 30 years, that's written this in 6 different communities. The 911 director that's been on a state 911 board with me. My issue here is I see a dispatch center down there that's in a crowded room that needs to be in a bigger facility, that has outdated technology, that has hardware that's getting ready to expire. So I see the need for additional revenue, but there's a better way to do this. And I'd like to see us table this, bring together a committee of folks who are in the 911 community and live here in Oldham County that can get us a much better ordinance that fits us, other than taking bits and pieces of other communities. I'm a no today, but only because I don't like the way this ordinance is written. And that's it.
Are you making a motion to table, Mr. Woosley? No, we already have a motion on the floor. You can motion to table the pending motion.
Magistrate Dye.
Somebody else wants to say something too.
Thank you, Judge. The 911 fee, at one point in my life, I was a deputy sheriff over in Jefferson County, and I can tell you some of the people in here that are first responders and such know what a 2-watt radio is. It's not much of a radio. You had probably more power. Well, I know one guy right there would probably know. He was at the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office after I left, but a 2-watt radio is probably had less power than your little transistor radio when you was a teenager. The only 2 groups of people I know that really need to respond to a 911 call is the person who's in distress or someone calling for them, because normally the words are something like 911, what is your emergency? Well, that emergency can be, well, my house is on fire, my car's on fire, my husband's beating the snot out of his kids, or the kids are beating the snot out of my husband. All kinds of things. And then you also have the first responder that may be in distress for whatever reason, and I won't get into all of that. But those are the 2 people or 2 groups that really need 911. probably most of the people in this room, I doubt very seriously, are going to make the phone call and say, when they say, what's your emergency? And you're going to say, I think I'm having a heart attack. I don't think many people get to make those calls. But what I hear today is exactly what government does so well, this government and any other government I'm familiar with. Let's kick the can down the road. Now, I agree with Magistrate Woosley. Maybe this needs to take another look at it. Maybe there is some other way to do it. But I can tell, just by my feeling is, if I've heard several people here that said, I'm not against 911, not against that at all. But I think that when it gets around to the time that when the state tells us, and as God has made little green apples, I'm telling you, the state's not going to give you any relief. You can't depend. I pay 2 EMS tax bills, and I can't get them to help me and the people in my district. But that's the way it goes. And some of the people who were mentioned said, you got to get that on the ballot because it's a constitutional matter. 2 tax bills for one group of community, got to get on a constitutional amendment. State's not going to help us. But what I am concerned about is when we hear that, are we going to go back to, I'm not against 911, but let's find another way to do it. Let's keep kicking that can down the road. Since I've been on court, salaries for the police, the dispatchers, the sheriff's deputies, and some other first responders have gone up exponentially. One of my first complaints was, I can't believe people work for this money. I said, we got to pay these people more money. And we've struggled getting certain people in our first responder programs to come here as employees. But the thing that really gets to me is that the equipment, $6,000 radios, $1,000 batteries, and this stuff is almost obsolete when you take it out of the package because something new's come along. I mean, I'm not going to ask anybody to put their hand up here and say, how many people paid $1,000 or more for the last cell phone? And then think about what you paid for that little flip phone. Okay? That's what we're up against. And I've been on finance. I'm not on finance now, but I was on finance for 12 years. I was chairman for 4. The only way that I know that you're going to, if you all want something, I tell any of my constituents, if you want something, tell me what you want. And I'm very honest with them, very frank with them. Well, if you want that, you may have to give up a service because we only have 2 taxing vehicles in this county. That's your county property tax, which we haven't raised in 14 years. And yes, your taxes have went up. It's because of the appraisal on your property. But then again, I'm sure the appraisal on your property went up just as fast as your insurance on your homeowner's insurance. And the other vehicle is the insurance premium tax. That is also probably went up. They're kind of married hand in hand. So I'm not against voting for this. I'm not against voting against this. I'm not against voting for kicking it down the road. And let's see if we have some of these people that want to do this. But these people that have brought these things up today, I also want to bring one more thing up before I finish up. I heard a lot of comparisons between this county and other counties, specifically Shelby. It's very short-sighted of anyone to compare this county to any other county. We all have our own little niches. Shelby County has a lot of industry we don't have. Okay, the coal countries. I can remember being in conferences and a guy from the county judge from Pike County said, "Coal is king." He said, "We'll never have to raise our taxes again." What the hell's happened to coal? There's coal coming out of Pike County, but not like it used to. Things change. So and my position right now is that I would like to see these people that came forward today at the last possible minute to complain when they had more than adequate time to make complaints. I like to see some of those people step up and say, "Yeah, I'll be part of that committee," so you can get a true visual of what's going on. And that's all I've got to say.
All right, is anybody else? Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, Judge. We've talked about this for a long time, and I'm supporting of the dispatch and our first responders and this process. I mean, I sat on Finance Committee. We just went through, in the process of building a new antenna at Ballardsville. That's almost $2.3 million. And so, these costs have gotten ridiculous, but we are somewhat limited on what we can do to control the cost. And so, I do have some issues with the dollar amount that's being requested. I would like to see us at least consider a lower fee than $75. I think that's a little high, I think, just in my opinion. But and I know there's a timeline here that we have to address, that we have to look at on getting it on say the property tax bill for this fall. But I think that I would probably at this point support tabling this for more discussion about, and I did talk to David Osborne this morning, and I have not talked to Jason Nemus, but I have talked to David, and he thinks that there's a possibility of this being addressed early in the session in January, which would, if something were to pass, we would be looking at next July before it would take effect. So, I'm really torn between this because, like I say, a lot of people don't think about 911 until you need it. But if you make that phone call and, somebody's not there, or radio system doesn't work, or the CAD system's not working correctly, and as Magistrate Woosley's pointed out, that's kind of what you did is in your career, that's a big deal. So I think we are between a rock and a hard place, but I would like to see us at least consider maybe a little bit lower fee than the $75. So that's kind of where I'm standing right now, sir.
I should die.
I think it's time for who made the motion.
Well,
I think maybe Magistrate Woosley might want to change his motion to table this.
What about, let me ask this. What about if we went ahead and approved this, but we put an effective date on it of maybe let's possibly delete the CPI part and put an effective date on it of not to begin until November of 26. That would give us an opportunity to see if the legislature is going to do something. If they don't do anything, we'll be prepared to go forward. If they do something, we can eliminate, and they do it sufficiently, we can eliminate the ordinance next year. But we're we serve notice that we need this funds. I'm willing to go with go with the general fund again this year for the $700,000 or $800,000 we have to take out of there. But we can't do that indefinitely. Sooner or later, this problem has to be solved. So if we were to delay the effective date until November of 26, we'd give the legislature an opportunity to address the problem. They would, sometimes they get things done in 12 months, and sometimes they take several years.
12 years.
Yeah. So
would that considerably change this second reading from the first reading? If we were
I don't think so. I think it's the same thing. We just we're just not going to begin it until 12 months.
I don't think the effective date is a substantive change, no. I
mean, he's also talking about removing the CPI from the ordinance.
If you're making it less, I don't think that's a substantive change either. I mean, if you were going to, say we're going to do the CPI times 2, that to me would be something. But if you're taking away from what you're imposing, I don't see that as being something that you can't do.
Particularly, in fact, there were no speakers in favor of the ordinance as presented. There were only opponents. So it's reducing it, the effectiveness, not increasing it or reducing the impact. Magistrate Tice.
If I heard you say one thing correctly, or if I heard correctly what you said, is let's go on and pass this and then deal with it or not put it into effect later. Well, then my statement would be, well, let's turn it down and then start over again. So I don't think that option is where we ought to be. But I think we need to either take
Well,
a step
that's
forward.
exactly kicking the can down the road, because you and I both know that'll never be addressed. When the same problem will be sitting here a year from now with the same people objecting, the same. We got to either rise to the occasion or forget it, you know. But I'm willing to give the legislature a chance to fix it. But if they don't fix it, Wayne, we're stuck.
And I hear you say that, but every year, it seems like, and especially with government, is they just have to have more and more and more money. And we've been blessed because our county, the property values keep going up, which is, I think, at the end of the road where we'd all want to be, rather than living in a county where the property values go down. So I think what you need to do as representatives, look for cost savings to fund the important things in your community. But you just can't keep spending and spending. At some point, you have to say, we have to hold tight on the amount of money that taxpayers, our representatives, or wherever we're talking about, and find another source for the money is. Maybe not do another major project we want, but and the other thing is the CPI is yeah, I mean, that's kind of a boogaboo. But anyway, I've said all I wanted to say, so thank you.
I'm not trying to debate that issue. I'll just say that what you said is, I don't disagree with it, other than the fact that it has a lot of value judgments in it as to what's important and what's not. And we could debate the same issue on every single thing that comes before the court. That's what we do.
Well,
we're elected to make the hard decisions.
And
we're
that's
trying to make one now in as least offensive a way as we can, but we still have to make it. Make it today. I'm glad to put it off a year, but we're going to have to make it. And if you want looking for somebody else to solve our problem, if they don't, we'll all be sitting there next year with exactly the same arguments and exactly the same position. So, you know.
Well, we have a certain group of people, the finance committee, who does the work and spends the money. So we're delegating that authority to different people. Plus, we have an accountant and Stan Clark, our chief financial officer. But it's just, so we have those people doing it. Let's call for the vote and do the vote. And can I call for the vote? Is that right?
No, you got to change the ordinance. You got to change the motion first.
I think,
not if he's.
No, I don't think we've had any other.
He's got a motion and
We
a
don't
second.
have any other motions on the floor right now. We've had discussion about ideas,
I thought Magistrate Woosley made a motion in the beginning, and now we would have to change it to the next year's date. But but I'm of the opinion, if you're going to do that, you got to leave the CPI, and you can't cut that out. If it's going to be a discussion, a full discussion about this, leave the CPI in there, because if you take the CPI out, the next court or the one after that is going to be suffering the same thing again. We already know that the stuff that's involved in this kind of stuff, the dispatchers, you have to have certain, high quality people to do that. It's not just like, it's not a telephone operator, and you got expensive equipment. So you're going to just walk yourself right back into the circle again. You got to find a way to have a continual funding source. Now, of course, that would change as more people come into the county. But to take that
Well,
out.
that's why I suggested we go ahead, but put the effective date off for a year, because I'd like Bob Jones and Jay Hall and everybody else in here to call the legislature, the pressure beyond, because if we have something that's going to happen, they're
Well,
motivated to call and say, hey, let's solve this problem. If we don't have anything that's guaranteed to happen, then there's not quite as much pressure in the equation, and
I agree
and
with
we
you.
like to have this happen, but I'm not putting it on you guys, but you all, everybody in here knows a representative. They can call and say, hey, we don't want this to go through like it's set up to go through. We want it to go this other route if it can.
And the reality of it is, these guys you're talking about, they're going to end up paying it some way, somehow. It's just through a different vehicle.
Right, I'm for the cell phone. It should be $2 or $3. I mean, it might have to be $3. Somebody said $2. No one knows what that number is going to be.
Right.
Right, because
Well,
it's different. Somebody said different per county.
At this point, we've got a motion and a second,
I'm not finished.
and I was going to call for the question or for the vote, and I guess I need a second on that. Is that in parliamentary procedure, Mr. Jeffries?
Yes. Call for the question, the debate stops.
That's exactly, and I need a second for
I'll
that to go
second.
forward. But
I'll second.
All right, call for the question, debate stops. The only motion on the floor is whether or not we approve this ordinance or disapprove it.
I'm not willing to change my motion, so we're either going to vote it up or vote it down. But I would
Then you
like to
have to
see us
vote-
table it.
We have to vote on the table, or the Wayne Tice's first, to
Well,
stop
I'm-
debate.
I'm
Then
not-
we vote on the other.
I'm not willing to change my motion. It's either up or down.
You have no
Wait, wait,
choice.
wait.
He made the motion to stop debate.
Well, that's a different motion than a motion to table. And, if somebody makes a motion to table and it's seconded, there's no discussion, and that, discussion stops, and then the motion would be to table this discussion. Now, you can set a date.
Did you make a motion? I don't believe you were seconded when you made your motion. You said you wanted to table it, but no, there were.
Well, he didn't say
was no
table
second.
it.
he didn't say he wanted to, he said I could. It was just in a general conversation. So the original motion is definitive, my motion and second is definitive. We need to vote on that, on my motion, to decide whether we stop talking about it and vote, or we continue to talk. Is that correct, Mr. Jeffries?
That would be correct.
Well, if we stop talking about it, it doesn't mean the subject can't ever come up again. So
no.
effectively, tabling and voting it down and talk about it later is about the same thing.
Well, it could be voted up. We haven't taken the vote yet.
Could be
Okay.
voted up, but my prediction is it won't be. But I might be wrong. Okay.
When somebody calls for the question, that stops debate, and we vote on the original motion, not on the motion to call for the question.
Vote on the call for the question.
Okay.
No,
That
if-
stops
the
discussion.
question, when the question is called and seconded, there needs to be a vote, up or
Right.
down vote on the original motion.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to vote on the original motion to approve ordinance 24-340-470 to replace the existing emergency services fees and establishing a new fee schedule. Okay?
I would like to move that we table.
Second.
Second.
And that way, it can come back up.
Okay, Mr. Baxter, I'm going to throw this over to you at this point.
I think
Come
we've
on,
gotten
Robert.
I think we've gotten past that, because once the question was called and somebody seconded it, that means at that point we have to have a vote. So either
You can move.
well, the person that called for the question could withdraw the call, but I think once you've called the
A
call for
motion to table takes
Anytime?
precedent. Takes precedent, I believe, sir. And I think if you look and.
well,
I mean, if you want a definitive answer, you're going to have to take a break because we've been going at this for 2 hours, and I'll have to go get John Finley's Robert's Rules of Order book that's sitting on my desk and look at it.
Let's take a break.
All right, we're at a break until 10 after 4, please.
And I'm not telling you because I'm just asking. I know you know. But when call for the question, don't we have to vote on the call for the question before you vote on the motion?
If the motion is a motion to table takes priority. It's a priority motion.
No, I'm talking.
Judge, as usual, I should listen to Magistrate Jeffries because he always has the right answer as the parliamentarian. So the rule is that the motion to the call of the question is inferior to a motion to table. So there has now been a motion to table. I don't know if there was a second because we got a little wild at that point. So the motion to table has to be voted on, and that is if a majority agrees to table, then that ends all discussion and it's over and we move on.
I was the second on the table, Judge.
All right, and at what point does it come off the table?
There would have to be a motion at some future meeting to bring it off the table.
Correct? Yes. All right, motion on the floor to table the ordinance, proposed ordinance. Holly, please call the roll.
Magistrate Hounds,
Yes.
Magistrate Woosley,
Yes.
Magistrate Likens,
Yes.
Magistrate Logsden,
Yes.
Magistrate Dye,
Yeah.
Magistrate Hawkins,
Yes.
Magistrate Jeffries,
Yes.
Magistrate Tice. And Judge Vogel.
Yes. Motion to table passes 8-1. You did. All right, thank you. All right, so we'll put that to bed, and we'll hope the legislature figures something out in the next session. Or you all come back a year from now, and we'll talk about it again. Next item on the agenda has to do with change related to the construction of Motorola radio tower at Ballardsville's Fire Department. Who's got that?
Bo Glass.
Pardon me?
Bo Glass.
Okay, there you are. Bo Glass, welcome.
Great day for this, Judge. I'm requesting your signature on a change order that is involving the radio infrastructure project, which includes the tower. It is for the purchase of an air conditioning unit to go at the Wave Tower. The need for the air conditioning is that there's going to be additional equipment put in the existing cabinet at Wave that already holds radio equipment. The air conditioning that's actually there now is not sufficient, so we're increasing that. It's not just an air conditioning unit, it's a part of the cabinet itself that the air conditioning is attached to that will be affixed to the cabinet.
All right. and
Judge, I'll
that's-
make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion to go ahead with this air conditioning unit. I guess it's, what, $2,898?
No, it's
No, sir,
10,000.
it's 10,600.
Where am I on? What page am I on here? Pardon me.
Hold on.
I do not see that number on anything I have here in front of me. Huh? Oh, right there, okay.
This is the overall project.
Okay,
That's
I'm
how it
sorry.
changes.
I got you now. $10,614. All in favor, please say aye.
Now,
Wait,
Judge,
wait, wait.
question.
Yes, sir.
Why wasn't this caught up? Why wasn't this brought up when we signed the contract to begin with? Motorola put stuff all over the United States. They didn't know they were going to need another.
So the original
air
plan
conditioning
called
unit?
for placing a cabinet inside Ballardsville Fire Department. However, when the cabinet was placed inside the department, it's taking up a lot more room than what was anticipated. So now that cabinet's going to be moved outside. There was an additional air conditioning purchased with the original plan, but now that that is going outside, that air conditioning unit needs to stay with that cabinet. So now an additional one that was going to be taken from Ballardsville to Wave needs to be purchased.
I'm just. We just keep doing cost overruns, and I don't understand why they're not part of the original bid when we do them.
It was part of the original bid. We changed.
Wasn't big enough.
No, no, sir.
It's the changing of the location of the cabinet from inside of Ballardsville to outside, where now it's going to require that extra air conditioning that was going to be moved to Wave.
In the original plan, it was in there, but the decision was made by multiple people to move the cabinet, as director spoke, outside of the firehouse, it accomplishes a lot of things. One of the things it accomplishes is that ERS, our vendor, will not have to come into the firehouse to do service and maintenance. The cabinet will be outside the firehouse. It's a security issue, and unfortunately, the cost of the air conditioner is a lot, but it makes sense for the long haul.
I'm not questioning that at all. I'm just saying, why don't we think this stuff through before we do it?
We did.
Instead of cost overruns all the time. That's just I'll vote on it. We got to have it. But I just don't know why this is not picked up ahead of time.
All right, any other comments? A motion on the floor to approve this air conditioning unit. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on today's agenda is, item C under contracts and resolution, medical cannabis resolution for the November ballot. Magistrate Hawkins.
I'm going to need, please, the resolution number because it didn't make it into my packet, if you have that. Holly, please.
It's 01-08-06-24.
248?
No, just
24.
Oh, just 24. Okay. Okay. Would you like me to read this, Judge, or talk about it first?
Okay, no, go ahead, read it.
Okay. I'm going to take your iPad. That's okay. Well, yeah. Essentially, this is a request to put to put this on the ballot for the people to vote on. And it's a resolution authorizing a referendum to determine whether cannabis business operations may occur in the county of Oldham. I can read the whole thing. It says, whereas on April 15, 2024, the Kentucky General Assembly adopted House Bill 829, signed into law by the governor on April 17, 2024, amending KRS Chapter 218B, the Kentucky Medical Cannabis Chapter. And whereas KRS 218B dot 8B dot 130 authorizes local governments to pass resolutions directing that the question of prohibiting cannabis business from operating within its territory be submitted to the voters of its territory at the next regular election. And whereas the County of Oldham wishes to utilize the authority granted to it by KRS 218B dot 130 to direct that to the question of prohibiting cannabis business from operating within the County of Oldham be submitted to the voters of the County of Oldham at the next regular election.
All right, so are you making this motion?
I'll make the motion, Judge, that we approve Resolution 01-08-06-24, please.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Now, discussion on this resolution.
I can start.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, Judge. I will not support this resolution. I think, for one thing, it didn't go through the committee process, and we had, discussion before about the previous ordinance resolution that failed. I think we've had a hearty discussion about this, and, I feel like that the medical doctors or whatever, this is not, authorizing recreational cannabis, which has been some of the discussion. This is strictly a medical product, and I will not support this. I think we need to move on. I attended the LaGrange City Council meeting last night. They introduced an ordinance with first reading to allow medical cannabis to be sold within the city limits of LaGrange. So, I feel like that if we don't support allowing medical cannabis in Oldham County, LaGrange is going to, and they certainly have the authority to do that. And when they have their second reading, I feel pretty confident that they will approve that to allow medical cannabis to be sold in Oldham County if one is authorized to be in the county. So I would like to, we'll see what the discussion is, but that's what my feeling is right now on this ordinance, or on this resolution, I'm sorry.
Magistrate Woosley.
Mr. Hawkins, have you spoke to the county clerk about this since she's the chief elections officer in the county?
I have not, and anything needs to be submitted to her by next Tuesday. That's why we're taking this on now, on the 6th of August, instead of, say, later, like the 20th at our next meeting.
And she has to have specific language, and we don't know what that language looks like today.
We do know what that language looks like. It's all part of the medical cannabis under Andy Bashir's office. They have that all worded on what it's exactly to look like. And on the 41 counties that have already passed this resolution to have it on the ballot, the wording is going to be exactly the same.
And I guess my prohibition against this is what Magistrate Jeffries just said. We've already put this to bed as a fiscal court, and now we're bringing it back up. It did not go through committee like we've asked, so I'm going to be a no on this today.
Magistrate Hawkins.
I wanted to state that putting this on the ballot for the people to decide is not about a personal medical issue. The doctors can prescribe it in Kentucky starting in January 2025. If you're using it as a medicine currently, then you probably already have an established relationship with a doctor, and that won't change. Just so everybody's aware, that won't change. Ultimately, it is the people's issue to have cannabis businesses in a community, and the people are smart. So it should be treated similarly to the wet dry vote that we took in December of 2015. And ultimately, if it's good for the community, then so be it. Again, people can still get their medicine, and LaGrange can do something differently as they choose, and that's by KRS statute, or by KRS. No matter what we do as a county, the incorporated city of LaGrange can choose to do what the people vote to do, whether it's up or down. That's up to them by KRS. So, as somebody stated already, LaGrange is planning on having this, and that is their prerogative to do that according to legislation. And the question would be essentially, do you want it here? And as a predominantly conservative county, we ought to leave it to the will of the people to make that decision.
Magistrate Logston.
That's what I agree with Stephanie wholeheartedly. We voted on liquor sales. It went from moist to wet, now full blown. It's going to go like this with marijuana also. The medical marijuana will eventually go total marijuana in the state. I promise you. I'm on board of directors at NACO. I've talked to tons of states or not tons of states, but the states that have it legalized now. Always said, do not touch this with a 10-foot pole or you're going to be sorry. I'm just telling you this right now. It's medical now, but it'll eventually go full-blown marijuana use in the state of Kentucky. Even our governor up in Iowa at the last caucus they had up there, and you can look it up on YouTube. I listened to it. He was talking about working with our soon-to-be vice president nominee, that he worked with her to decriminalize marijuana possession in the United States of America. So I'm just telling you that this is not going to stop at medical. It's going to go on. And I've seen too many labs. It's funny we're sitting here talking about opioid money today and how we're going to do that and how they got sued because they kept prescribing and everybody got addicted to opioids. And now here we are talking about marijuana, doing the same thing. It makes no sense to me. I might be on the opposite side of the fence of everybody in the county, but that's the way I feel. And I will vote for this ordinance, even though I know LaGrange is going to pass it in their next session, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to happen. It's going to be in here. LaGrange will pass it, and that's what it'll be. But I'm not going to vote for it. So,
Magistrate Hounds.
Yes, thank you, Judge. First off, I would like for the magistrates and everybody to stay on task. We're talking about medical cannabis. when you go off on your tangents about stuff, all it does is muddy the water, Magistrate Logston. I like Magistrate Woosley, Magistrate Jeffries. I know the judge has a different opinion at times about the committee system, but we put the committee system in place. This did not go through committee. I understand that there are deadlines that we need to make. I made an assumption. I was wrong. The assumption is that I assumed that Magistrate Hawkins would have spoken with the county clerk and made sure we had all of our ducks in a row. Doesn't sound like that's happened. A little disappointed in that because it does affect her operation as the person who creates the ballots, and that process, I know, with everything that's going on, gets dicey, and we want to make sure we get it correct. We do have print-on-demand ballots, which is a benefit over other counties that don't have that. Some counties, I don't know, maybe they've already printed their ballot. I guess they haven't printed their ballots yet because of the Democratic convention that's happening, I guess, this week or next week. But so I will not be voting for this.
Judge. Magistrate Jeffries.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to ask our clerk, Ms. Amy, if what the cost, if this were to pass and to be put on the ballot, do we know what the cost would be to the county to do that? I mean, I assume there's a cost to do this.
It's just a programming fee. It's just it would be the same information that we just have to get to our vendor to program the machines and then set it on there for the printing side of it. I don't know if there will be any additional cost. Okay. It's really just the communication part of it, so we can plan accordingly. There's already 2 constitutional amendments that are on there. We thought the first one was going to be a little shorter. It's not. So, you know, with an additional item that is on the ballot, we just need to remember and remind everyone to be patient, because with 3 questions on there, I'm good either way, but just communication would be greatly appreciated.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for Ms. Allen.
One other thing, if it does pass, I would really like to have in the resolution the wording, so it's specific in the resolution of what the question is to be on the ballot. I finally got a copy of the resolution. It was forwarded to me, so I could send that to our attorney at State Board of Elections. That is for the county attorney, or for the County Clerks Association. He reviewed the resolution, and his only suggestion is to add the actual question into the resolution if it does get passed. So there's no question about what the question is on the ballot. So, yes, sir.
Manager Woosley.
Ms. Alvey, if the city of LaGrange passes their second reading and they approve it, what does a ballot look like for anybody else in Oldham County? So is it the folks in LaGrange wouldn't have that question on their ballot, but everybody else would?
No, they still would, because they're a county resident, because it's a county decision, because they are a resident of Oldham County. So they would still have that on there whether or not they wanted it within the county. If for some reason, say the county put it on there as a question and the city also put it on there as a question, they would get 2 votes. They'd get 1 vote for the city and 1 vote for county at large. So even if the city does approve it, it will still be on the city of LaGrange residents' ballots, because they are a resident of Oldham County.
And so if it was approved here, it was on the ballot, and the voters in November voted to enact a ban, those folks in LaGrange wouldn't really matter, because they're going to get it regardless.
Correct.
So we're really muddying the water here.
It could get confusing for them, because if they're in the city of LaGrange, if they have to read the question completely, because if it was the question, if it was for just the city of LaGrange, it would say the jurisdiction of, which, if you all pass this, will say Oldham County. If the city put it on there, it would say the city of LaGrange. Okay. So they just will need to understand that their vote is for county at large, that the city of LaGrange has already made their decision.
Okay.
Which is how we did the wet dry vote, probably similarly.
Paperwork wise, it's handled different than a wet dry vote.
The backside of that question is, if it fails and the ban doesn't get approved by the voters in November, City of Crestwood has indicated that they're going to pass a ban.
Correct.
So it would be in reverse down there. So the county may have voted to not have a ban, but the City of Crestwood will have one regardless.
Correct. Correct. Yes.
The people are smart, though. People, I mean, it'll be able to be figured out, and the cities have that privilege, according to the state, in order to be able to implement what they feel is appropriate for their incorporated city.
Anybody else have Magistrate Likens?
Yes, thank you, Judge. I'm with Magistrate Logston. I think is just a precursor to recreational marijuana. I think at a minimal cost to the people of Oldham County, this is an important moral question that should be posed to the citizens, not to us 9 people up here who vote on this today.
Okay. Guess I'm the only one who hadn't said anything here yet, and
Tee you up, Judge.
I'm not sure I have any wonderful words of wisdom. This is a conflicting circumstance. Overall, we're here to do the will of the community. The community will is hard to define because you have different pockets of people who feel one way or another about something, and you can't get a unanimous opinion on anything. Overall, I'm certainly want to do what is right for the community. I also want to do what is right for those who are hurting. And none of us sitting here today are on medical marijuana or probably anything else like it, but I would guess that half of us are on some type of prescription for something. I'd hate to be told I had to drive to St. Matthew's to get my prescription every 30 days for whatever it was that I needed. And I'm reluctant to force that position on someone else. Prohibiting the sale or prohibiting a medical cannabis store in Oldham County proper will not stop the prescription of this medicine for anyone. All it does is forces them to go down the street further to get it. With the fact that LaGrange, we have pretty strong assurance that LaGrange is going to pass a ordinance allowing it with to be controlled by the Board of Adjustments as a conditional use permit. It does us really no good to try to defeat it elsewhere if we were even interested in doing that, because it's going to be available within the major city in our community. So I'm not going to put myself in the position of being someone's doctor and just decide that because I am concerned about it that I don't think marijuana is anything I support for the long haul as a recreational thing here. But and if it leads to that someday, it'll be beyond our control as a fiscal court anyway. So, but I do support the arguments that Magistrate Hawkins has put forward. I mean, they've been let the community decide, but the very fact that we're putting this out to decide after we've decided that we're not going to prohibit it in the county as a court, it has a negative, semi-negative connotation to it. And the majority of people in this community are not going to use this project or product. It'll be just for a small number, and I believe that we need to let the small number and their doctors determine who gets it, and that I'm really not in favor of forcing someone to take a 50 or 60-mile ride every 30 days to get something that is legal in the state of Kentucky. So I'll be voting in opposition to the resolution.
Judge, question still.
Yes, sir.
First of all, LaGrange is going to pass it, so they don't have to drive 50 miles to get it. They can get it from LaGrange. Second of all, if you agree to this ordinance, you don't have to decide how you're going to vote. The people of Oldham County will decide that. So, just my 2 cents.
I think you're right on the first point. You definitely have, taken my logic and turned it on its head. They are going to get it in LaGrange. They won't have to take a 50-mile ride. But it's just the matter of the fact. And I don't know. It's just a very tough decision. I mean, really, it's just. And I think I hate to have this point of contention come up because it doesn't help any of us or doesn't really help the community. And a lot of people who really don't care will have a chance to cast their vote one way or another. And if you're feeling fine, vote, I just think we need to take a stand a little bit for those who are hurting. And a lot of effort's been made to take care of people who, this has been a fight in the legislature. It's been an uphill battle. And I do not agree with medical marijuana at all. I don't think it's a recreational. I mean, recreational marijuana, but I don't know. I mean,
Judge,
what good is it going to do to say you can't buy it in the county when you can buy it in LaGrange? I mean, we don't need to be on that page with that.
I've said from the very beginning, I think the people need to decide in Oldham County how they do. LaGrange is going to pass their ordinance where it's going to be sold in LaGrange. This is a state level thing that was decided. We cannot stop it. All I want to do is for the people, just like they voted on the liquor ordinance, making it wet from moist to wet, I think they should be able to vote on this also. And then it takes, that's just my opinion. It's going to go in LaGrange. There's no question about it. And they have every right to go in LaGrange. Crestwood's going to deny it. So, but you can't stop the state from, we cannot trump the state. So the state's already said it's going to happen. We're talking about Oldham County. LaGrange is going to do it, so they don't have to go to Jefferson County. And they might not, who knows? There's only 6 license or 4 licenses out there. Maybe LaGrange will get it, maybe they won't. So Initially.
Yeah. Judge, what would be the harm in letting the people vote? What would be the harm in letting the people just vote? Vote what's best for their community?
There is no harm in it. It just presents a conflict within our community. Okay. I think I don't think it's harmful in the sense that, but when other things come before us that people want to vote on, and we say they can't vote on them. Okay. The legislature's passed this. It's a legal circumstance in the state of Kentucky. The fiscal court has already voted once to allow it to be sold here. So we're just bringing this up again because you disagreed with our earlier opinion. So I'm going to stick with my point of view. Sorry. Ollie, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Dye.
No means I don't want it on the ballot, right?
Right.
No means you're opposed to the resolution.
No.
Magistrate Jeffries.
No.
Magistrate Likens.
Yes.
Magistrate Tice.
Yes.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Yes.
Magistrate Logston.
Yes.
Magistrate Hounds.
No.
Magistrate Woosley.
No.
And Judge Vogel.
No. Motion is defeated 5-4. All right. The next item here on today's agenda has to do with a proposal to convert Main Street north of Front Street in Westport from right-of-way to a public road. County Engineer Sullivan.
Thank you. Jim Silliman, Oldham County Engineer. Let's see. So what I have today is a proposal to convert Main Street located in Westport, Kentucky at Shambach Park basically from public road and discontinue the public right-of-way portion of it through a vehicle that we're working on as a consolidation plat and convert it to just a public park road. So this is the general area. I'm going to move the cursor around the Westport Park or Schembach Park area. This is Main Street that we're speaking of from Front Street to the river. Just highlighted the area. And in, I believe it was February of 2023, Fiscal Court approved to have Bob Vincent, surveyor, a licensed surveyor, work on a consolidation plat to take these multiple parcels that make up the park currently and create one larger parcel. That effort was delayed. We've revisited it, and Bob is working on that now, and it's in conjunction with this. This is a survey from William Berry that was done in October 2006. I wrote preliminary because the copy I've got doesn't have his signature on it, so it's not an official survey, but it does indicate the approximate right-of-way currently for Main Street in this area. Just for historical purposes, we also located plats dated 1852 and 1935 that also indicate the Main Street right-of-way. Of course, you can see the configuration of the lots is very different. It's very interesting from a historical purpose. And there's Main Street again. This is just a view of Main Street. So this is North Front Street crossing perpendicular to it here. So we're speaking of discontinuing the public right-of-way from this point to the river where the dock is. Another view of that a little closer. This is looking from the area where the dock is towards North Front Street. And these are the signs that were posted in accordance with the KRS to go through this procedure. So we found the most appropriate KRS to follow for this discontinuance of the county road is KRS 178070, and in accordance with that, we formed a three-person committee, being myself, Magistrate Woosley, and there's also supposed to be a member of the community that has no stake in the road, Joe Ender, who's actually now Deputy Judge Executive, was assigned that position. The three of us met. The determination that there will be no inconvenience resulting from this decision. Again, we're not actually closing the road. We're just making it so it's no longer a public right-of-way. On July 12th, the signs were posted in accordance with that KRS and the one you saw in the picture. And on July 18th, notice of this activity was posted in the Oldham era. So if anyone had objection, they could call. I took one phone call, and it was just a person asking about the procedure, and I explained what we were doing, and that was it. I got no calls of objection. Again, the intent of this will be to create, with the consolidation plat that Bob Vincent is working on, one property for the park, and it won't be bisected by public right-of-way for Main Street. It'll be all one park, and this park road will be maintained. So at this time, I request that Fiscal Court approve this action.
Make that motion, Judge.
Second.
All right. Moved in, pardon?
Just a quick, it came through Road Committee, and the Road Committee recommended to Fiscal Court to approve this.
That is correct. I should have put that on the timeline. Good point.
All right, motion and second to convert Main Street to north of Front Street in Westport from right-of-way to public park road. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next.
Thank you. Let's see, close this out. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a recommendation to release the erosion control surety for the Goodwill facility that was recently constructed in Crestwood. That development has undergone inspection from our department, and it appears that the site has been constructed in accordance with the approved plans and Oldham County subdivision regulations. And as such, I'm requesting Fiscal Court release the bond in the amount of $46,738.25. And this similarly came through the Road Committee at their last meeting, and the Road Committee approved this action. So I'm requesting Fiscal Court do the same.
So
Judge?
moved.
I'll move that we release the bond in the amount of, if I find it here.
129,370.
29,370. Yes.
Or 46,738.
25 cents.
I'll stick with
25
Jim's.
cents. Yeah.
25
I'll
cents.
second that.
Yep.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's the next one. Okay.
All right, Jim, next.
Similarly, the senior healthcare campus within Oldham Reserve has been inspected in accordance and constructed in accordance with plans and subdivision regulations, and we're requesting the erosion control surety for that project, which was check number 5011 in the amount of $129,370.15 be released.
And I'll move that also, Judge, in the amount of 129,370.15, and that did come through Road Committee with a recommendation to release.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Lastly, item number 4 under Road Committee, we have the fall 2024 county paving, and I'm requesting a contract amendment. Basically, we've been resurfacing or started on patching in the Woodsboro neighborhood on Brookswood Drive, and when that operation commenced, we observed some areas that needed additional patching. There were some additional failures we want to address. And so we've worked with the contractor, and there's an additional amount of $636.68, which is, it's 2.2% of the contract, which is currently $744,040. So I'm requesting that fiscal court approve a contract amendment in the amount of $16,636.68 to address these additional repairs required in the Woodsboro subdivision.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jim. Personnel actions and board appointments. Ms. Schaaf? Well,
We're just waiting for you to walk down here.
Our runway walk. Before you this afternoon, there are several things. For planning and development services, we have a new hire in the senior planner role. She's coming to us from Georgia. Her name is Anna Barge at $65,000 a year, and that'll be effective on the 14th. And then we also have another.
Okay, well,
did you want to?
Okay, is there a motion to approve, Ms. Barge?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next.
The second item is in planning and development. It will be new hire Haley Beatty as a permit clerk at $23.08 per hour, effective tomorrow, the 7th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And, you have a resignation to announce.
Jennifer Shields, she left us on Friday, the 2nd.
Thank you. New hire for maintenance.
Sure, we have Tanner Gay as a maintenance assistant too at $25 an hour, and that is effective tomorrow as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Tanner
All in
Gay.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I do want to back up one and say thank Jennifer Shields for being with us. She's been with us for several years, has done a very good job, and we certainly wish her, good fortune and enjoyment in her next move. I think she's kind of going, into business for herself in a way, so I hope she enjoys that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the police department, we have several things there. We have a new hire, a 5-year lateral, Daniel Quire. The base hourly rate, $33.80, effective on the 19th of August.
I'll make the motion. We hire Daniel.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Then we have a new SRO, David Muchler, effective on the 12th of August, and you all should have that contract. It's the same as the other SROs that we brought in last court.
All right.
I'll
And then we
make
have-
the motion that we hire David.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
2 contract renewals.
2 contract renewals, Donald Gosney and Brian Bramlett. Those are also attached. Those are regular police officer contracts laterals, not SROs.
Motion?
I'll make the motion. We do the contract renewals of David and Brian.
Donald.
Donald and Brian. I don't know why I said David. Sorry.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. One more.
And the last one is a promotion at the road department. Donnie Zeitz as promoting him to a mechanic 1 at $24 an hour, and that would be effective on the 12th of August.
So moved.
Second. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I had you do them one at a time because since, you were here. Hey. All right. Thank you. Now we have some board appointments I'd like to make. First of all, to the Oldham County Tourism Commission, Corey Atkinson for a term to expire August 1st of 2027. Motion to...
Second.
I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Reappointment of Donald St. Clair to the Henry County Water District Board. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. And let's see. Do we have any more? We should have one more here somewhere. It's not in my book.
Code enforcement.
Yes,
Board.
the code enforcement, Steve Bailey.
Bishop.
It's one says Steve Bailey, one says Steve Bishop.
Oh, yeah.
Did we get clarification on the name?
Yeah. It's Stephen Bailey.
Okay.
It says Stephen.
Well,
Steve.
it says Stephen Bishop on our
All
form.
right. Okay. We got Bailey and Bishop mixed up. It's Bailey Bailey.
It's Bailey?
Yes,
Okay. Well, his resume says Bailey.
Steve
so I
Bailey.
figured.
He's been a businessman for quite a while in our community, and I think he'll do a good job on the code enforcement board. So I'd like to nominate him and make that recommendation.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Time now for our second public comment of the day, and anybody here who would like to address the fiscal court is able to do so.
Next time I'll go to the first one. This is a long day. And puff, puff, pass. I just want to say, Pam Isaac, 3702 Winnow Drive, Crestwood. Alcohol is a far, 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 far more damaging substance than marijuana will ever be. So I don't know about that. I don't do it, but, we've had more alcohol crop up in this county. I don't even know how many now, between that and the vaping and, other substances. I don't know why everybody's so hot and bothered about marijuana. It's, but anyway. Bob, if you want some help writing some grants or something for the opiate issue, maybe contact Karen Haskell at the Healing Place in Louisville. She's the president. She's been around a long time. You're welcome. I have 8 pages of emails that Jim Silliman, Stephanie Hawkins, Jim Urban, Scott Treese, Sarah Gaddis. And I don't know any more today than I did whenever I first spoke here about what this project is going to look like, the sewer treatment project behind my house, beside my house, in front of my house, because I understand they're going to tear up Wayno Drive, which I only learned that because John Black came to a LaGrange Utilities meeting that I attended. So I don't understand all the secret. I don't understand why I can't be handed a report from you that details everything that's going to happen. I'm not somebody to read blueprints. I don't know, I don't know. I need it maybe 8.5 by 11 and describe it. It's.
Well, Pam, have you been to the LaGrange Utilities Commission meeting?
Yeah,
You're
yes,
coming here
sir.
to ask us, but it's
Well,
not our project.
I am,
It's
though. I am.
Well, but it's not our project. It's
Well,
LaGrange.
you
You got
know-
to find out from LaGrange Utility Commission what they intend to build past your house.
Did you all sell it to them? The property behind my house, did you all sell it to LaGrange?
No, we didn't sell
Utilities?
it to them. The
It's a
property
utility.
belongs to the Oldham County LaGrange Development Authority, and they entered into agreement with the LaGrange Utility Commission to provide sewer service to portions of LaGrange, of Oldham Reserve, and the LaGrange Utilities and MSD reached an agreement for LaGrange Utilities to take over the treatment plant on New Moody Lane there, or whatever, and Old Moody. So it's LaGrange Utility Commission that's putting that in there. So you keep coming and asking us, but it's not our program, not our thing. They're the ones that are putting it in through the Oldham LaGrange Development Authority project. And so I don't think there's going to be anything more than an underground pipe go past your place there, but I'm not positive about it. But it's not going to be anything negative or destructive. They do have to dig up some of the street to get through the right-of-way, because that's just where the right-of-way is, to get the piping from the plant into Oldham Reserve. But that'll all be repaired nicely, probably be better than it is right now when it's done, should be. So I think you need to go to that LaGrange Utility Commission meeting and ask them to show you what their plan is, because you're asking us, but we're not responsible, nor can we give you a complete answer.
She's my magistrate, so she comes here, so I'm gonna come here.
And
Because I sent Jen Silliman a message today, and he said the erosion part of it hasn't been approved. So I said, does that mean the rest of it has been? His response, ask Scott Trees. I mean, it's so silly. I know they all know how it's going to be, because he's part of it. He's an engineer. And I talked to Sarah.
Well, I think
Daniels
you and Stephanie go see Scott Trees.
I wanted.
I have.
And he doesn't tell you anything?
He showed me a blueprint.
Since my name was mentioned, can I speak about something? What kind of report would you like, Miss Isaac?
What's going to happen to my house? Beside my house, because I've heard driveway, I've heard a parking lot behind.
Can you speak into the microphone so they can't?
Sorry.
A parking lot? As I understand it, the building will be, the structure, the outside structure, not even necessarily a building, will be no higher than 10 feet high. And that came from Jim Urban a couple fiscal courts ago. And most everything else is going to be underground. And I don't have authority to dictate what they do and how they do it.
No, but you can tell me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And I've asked you,
and
because the last one you said, I think Sarah Gaddis is in charge of this project. And I was like,
No,
oh my God.
that name is, I don't know who that person is.
Well, I have the email.
Read it. I didn't say anything about a
That's
Sarah.
okay. I'll send it to
Let's
you.
let Jim
I don't know
Silliman
a Sarah.
address this here, Pam.
I don't
How
know a
about Jim is saying,
Yeah, so I think if you read through that email thread, Sarah Gaddis is the representative. She should be at Kentucky Division of Water. The Division of Water has the plans. This is what I understand from Scott Treese, the director of LaGrange Utilities. Sarah has the plans for her agency to review for their necessary review and approval of this type facility. We have not been submitted construction plans. We will be after they're approved by the Division of Water. The LaGrange Utilities Commission will submit them to Oldham County Engineering for a stormwater management erosion control permit, and also for us to review with the city of LaGrange. Well, actually, no, those are not city streets. I'm sorry. That we will review those for the impacts to the traffic, because I have met with Scott. We've seen preliminary plans. There's the sewer would be going up Wayno Drive, bending behind your property on the Oldham County Fiscal Court property. So we would review those to see what traffic impacts are and how the traffic's being maintained. The pump station itself is in the area where the current lagoon is, which is down near Moody. So the pump station, anything with any elevation, pump station building, that goes where the lagoon system currently is, which is several properties away from yours. As the judge said, the plans that we've seen show the storm sewer itself, which is underground, going up the road and on the properties behind yours. So,
Driveway next to my property going back to this
So-
thing that doesn't exist.
and then that is where I think what the judge said is very correct, is that you need to, and that's what the last two responses I sent to you this morning were, we've not seen the plans for our review permit process. You need to ask Scott. And I copied Scott on those emails. And he responded to me again asking about the Division of Water. And again, I said, you need to address those folks.
Organization not know an entire, this is county, I don't care who's gonna run it, it's in the county, I'm in the county, I need you all to know about it. And he knows bits and pieces here and there, but
Well, we know about it, but there are steps on how all these things are put together. They come together through an approval process of the various steps. And like he said, the State Division of Water is looking at their plan now. We don't get it till it's been approved by the state. Then we get it. But, we're not going to leave. I mean, if I recall, I think I know where you live. I don't know. You live more or less pretty close to an intersection, but there's already streets there. There isn't going to be any new street go by your house that's not already there right now. And we're not going to leave the place a mess. We're not going to let anybody do that. We don't let them do it anywhere else. They're not going to do it at your place. It will be almost probably by the time it's done, it's invisible. It'll be out of sight for the most part.
Because any driveway that, again, I'm speaking about plans that I didn't design it. I don't know.
I know, you haven't seen it.
Judge,
Jim, when
I might be able to put a little light on this for you. And I'm chairman of ODA board but I'm on the ODA board still. That what you're talking about is a pump station. Most of it's underground. This road you're speaking of could possibly be a service road that would come from, I don't remember.
Waino, which is a regular
Yeah,
road
it would
that
come
I
off
live
and
on.
it
There's enough room for a driveway to be put there. Is that yes or no?
Well, I don't have the plans in front of me, but there's going to be a pump station, and normally they have to have a service road, one vehicle, which is good for one
Let's
vehicle.
put it at your house. Maybe they could drive in from your house.
Too far to come all the way from Glen Oaks.
Jim, would you make sure that when those preliminary plans come, would you copy Ms. Isaacs and myself on it?
By then, it's already been approved.
And I believe Ms. Isaacs has reviewed the plans with Scott Treese at his office.
The preliminary plans?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Wait a minute now. We're kind of.
Get this on record. I do not read blueprints. That's what I was shown. I asked for an 8.5 by 11. I'm sure they could whip that out, but no, I haven't gotten it yet. So,
An 8.5 by 11 of the blueprint, or? Okay. Okay.
Is your mic on?
That's my understanding.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
understand.
Well, anybody that might be watching this, we take care of when the development comes through an area and the utilities are put in. There's some disruption. It just that can't happen any other way. But we don't leave it or allow any utility that works there to leave it, in less than good condition. So I'm still not sure exactly what Pam's concern is. There might be a service road off a stub street in their subdivision, but there isn't going to be any disruption of her property whatsoever.
It wouldn't be anything on her property. If they haven't offered to buy something from her, it's
Right.
not going to be on her
No,
property.
it's not going to be on her property, but she's worried about it, and we're sorry about that.
I understand her concern. Just wants to know what's going on around her.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's wind things up here today with one of our magistrates. Magistrate Logston, you want to
Oh, yes.
make any more
let me take a
comments
stab
about
at it.
anything today, marijuana or anything else?
No, no. But since you brought it up, I think it's funny that we're doing opioid settlement and doing marijuana in the same day. That's pretty good. Because
Why don't you roll
the
yourself a fatty
doctors
there and go at it?
the doctors were the ones that started the opioid problem. So I guess the doctors will start the medical marijuana too. So anyway, but let's go on to a different subject. I want to say thanks to the city of Peewee Valley. They put on a great summer picnic. Thanks to the Peewee Valley Fire Department for cooking the hot dogs, hamburgers, and brats. Y'all did a great job. So Chris, thank you for that. And I also want to address the four-way stop, however you want to say it, at the corner of, well, let's just call Reardon's. Everybody knows where Reardon's is. So it's been a total catastrophe so far. We have been contacted with the state. We're trying to get KT. Jim, you want to talk about that? I mean, you called and asked them, but Matt hasn't got back with you. What we can do, if there's anything that can be
you have
done
an email,
to it.
Magistrate Logston.
Sorry?
You have an email with that information?
I didn't see it today. Did it come in today?
It just came a few minutes ago from
I'm
Matt.
sorry, I don't check my email while I'm on court. I try to pay attention to court.
I'm just
So
saying.
I apologize for not seeing that yet.
I didn't speak, or I didn't reach out to Matt Bullock. I spoke to Kevin Bailey, so I want to make sure.
Well, I just want to address to people Crestwood. Somehow, this is a state road. I've seen so many things on Facebook that Judge Vogel did it. It's like, this is a state. We have nothing. The county has nothing to do with state roads. We can't stop them. We can't tell them, no, you can't put a stop sign there. They're going to do what they want to do. The only thing we can do is be your voice to go to them and ask them, can we please rectify this problem? We know we have an issue down there. It's going to be probably next Monday or Tuesday whenever school starts. It's probably going to get worse. So we're trying to work on the problem. I just want to let people know that this is a state road, and we cannot stop the state from doing stuff on that. All we can do is be your advocate and try to keep them, do something to have them revisit it and see if they can do something else. I don't understand the one lane going to I-71 from 22. And they made it a turning lane right there by McDonald's, which so far I've been backed up underneath the railroad track going through two lights to get to 71. I just don't think it's going to work. I think when school starts, you're going to see people out on 22 trying to turn to go straight to 71. It is a total catastrophe down there. But I just want people to know we are going to work and try to resolve the issue. So, but we have to go through channels. It's not a county road. If it's a county road, we could fix it tomorrow. But we have to go through this proper channels. So.
All right, thank you, Magistrate Dye.
Well, I went through that location today, and I didn't see any catastrophe. I pulled up the stop sign, stopped, and went on.
Go there at 5 o'clock.
I would like to bring up a point that I'm glad that today your number 2 guy, Mr. Ender, was in the building committee today, and he brought us up to speed on several of the projects. The park, the church, the police station, and some of the things that I was concerned about. I've heard some rumors about the police station needing a wing or something of this or something of that, just rumors, okay? I would really like for you to maybe, he could, or you, or whoever you want to assign this to, I think we need to be kept abreast of what's going on these projects, because, I mean, I don't think anybody really knew what was happening. You know, they, like on the church, they said they took the steeple down, but then there's no steeple put back. And then we found out about roofing and then sound deadening and all that. So I think that since we don't have these projects assigned to any committees per se, you know, it's just kind of like, well, just next time you drive by there, see what they've done. And that's the only way we're getting our information. And I don't think that's a good way to do it.
Well, you're certainly entitled to your opinion, but you're not. You're here as a policymaker, not a day-to-day micromanager of every step that happens in the county. And I have no intention of discussing everything we do until we're ready to bring it to the committee to be discussed. In the meantime, preliminary ideas, discussions, what we talk about, we're not going to micromanage everything up and down the line by 9 people. The administration here is in charge of what is brought to the fiscal court for a policy decision, and that's what I intend to continue to do. But, as far as you being not up to date on things, that's fine, but we'll put out a semi-weekly bulletin about what's happening, but I can't call you every time nails to be driven or a picnic table bought or something of that nature. It's just not enough time in the day for it, and I'm sorry that our attempt to keep you informed actually turns out to be a negative in your mind. So, Magistrate Hawkins.
I wanted to say that I was a bit surprised at how the resolution ended up today. I didn't think that taking something to the people for a vote when given the opportunity by our legislature to allow the people to vote would be so controversial or be voted against. But I wanted to thank those who voted in support of it. So that's all I wanted to say today, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Hounds.
Thank you, Judge. Today I had the honor of being a guest at the LaGrange Rotary, and they pack a lot of information in that short period of time, but they were talking about High Point and Crossroads pregnancy. Those were the two guest speakers today. And High Point, Amy told us today that finally the commercial kitchen, which the Oldham County Fiscal Court and LaGrange, City of LaGrange were contributors to, tomorrow is a ribbon cutting for that facility at 11 o'clock. It's a long time coming, and it's be a nice community asset. One of the things that was talked about in the presentation from High Point, and Blaine Anderson brought this up in the brochure, was the increase in the amount of people that High Point is seeing on a weekly basis for multiple things, for the food bank, the clothes closet, but they also are doing client advocacy and case management, mental health services, and spiritual health services. But the main point that Amy was trying to tell us is that so far in 2024, it looks like that it's going to be an increase over the past 3 years of data. And food insecurity is one of the things that they are dealing with. So for the past 2 years, we've done a food drive in the county around Christmas, Thanksgiving time, and we'll continue that again this year and hopefully try to do better than we did last year. We did really well. We'd had about a 30% increase of food from the first year we did to the second year, which is pretty good. We should pat ourselves on the back for that. That anytime you can do an increase like that is great. I think Magistrate Logston brought this up, but just to add to it, school starts for most of our area either this week or next week. And there are new drivers out there, my son being one of them. I've tried to coach him the best I can, but we'll see how well he does. I have all the faith in the world in him, but it's a stressful time for him and other drivers. As we were talking to some parents the other night, now the child has to drive their kid. They have to drive themselves to school, and they have to get to school on time. Mm-hmm. That's a new experience for some of these kids. They usually just sit in the passenger seat and let mom and dad drive them. But also the school buses will be out on the street. That stop sign that comes out on the school bus and those flashing red lights, that's not a suggestion. You're required to stop. And I know that there are signs if you drive up and down. I've only seen them on Westport Road. It says that cross traffic does not have to stop with the school bus stop sign. But if you have any idea, if you think you don't have to stop, just stop. They put the stop sign out, just stop. I know, I believe it was Bullitt County. They spent a bunch of money on putting cameras on the buses to record license plates of people that blew the stop sign up. We don't want to do that. We don't need to have any more emergencies, especially with kids and that. So just ask people to slow down and be patient. I agree with Magistrate Logston about the stop sign. I think in slow times during the day has been probably Magistrate Dye went through the stop sign today, probably sailed right through it. He probably Hollywood stopped it, but that's a whole nother story. But it will, during rush hour, mornings and afternoons, I think it is going to be problematic. Mayor Kramer did send an email to Chief Engineer Matt Bullock and copied Magistrate Logston and I. He responded back, don't worry, Magistrate Logston, there's not much in the email. Yeah, it's not much in it, but that is, as Magistrate Logston said, that is a state issue, not a county issue. And I can tell you that my phone blew up with that conversation. And if you see a street with a number, it's a state road. County roads don't have numbers, right, Mr. Silliman? Not advertised, but so if you see a road that like Highway 22, Highway 146, those are going to be state roads, not county roads. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, sir. Just a couple things. Jim Urban's getting ready to retire the 16th. We're going to have a little retirement ceremony here on the second floor. And Ryan, I think you'll be taking over full time. So look forward to working with you as we move into the next phase or whatever. Jim's been here a long time as director and I think done a really outstanding job. So I'm sure he's looking forward to being able to sleep in a little later and travel and do what he wants to do. But his retirement will be here at 1 o'clock on August 16th, which is a Friday. Just a quick update on I-71. They've been doing a lot of work on the I-Move project, and they're starting to get, you kind of start to see the fruits of the labor that seems like it's been going on for a generation. But, they're getting asphalt put down and seems like things are smoothing out a little bit on that, and hopefully sometime early fall, they'll have that project basically completed, at least on this phase. So, I think they did get they've got a nice job out here on the 53 overpass on the bridges. Those were, needed a lot of work, and those have been done. And I think everybody that's driving over them now are that. And then, the new ramps being open, I think things are, starting to improve in this area. So we're excited about that. So that's all I have, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Magistrate Woosley.
Judge, I just want to announce one road closure. The state state transportation cabinet is closing 42 at Old Sligo Road on Thursday, starting at 9 to replace 2 culverts under the road. I have one other thing, but I can't read my writing, so I don't know what it is, but I'll email you. Everybody but Magistrate Logston, I'll email you. That's all I got, Judge. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Tice.
Nothing, Judge.
Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. I think since we had such a boring and mundane meeting today, we need to introduce a little controversy into today's meeting. But I would like to see the 6 fire departments revisited again. I know we did that 12, 13 years ago about trying to merge our fire departments. It just makes sense to me not to have 6 paid chiefs at 6 different locations with overhead in each location. But I would like to know, what's the physical distance between the Peewee Valley Fire Department and the South Oldham Fire Department?
2.5 miles.
You said 2.5 miles?
Just a couple of miles.
Depends on if your house is on fire or not.
Exactly.
The goal and
but
objective is to have a firehouse within 5 miles of every resident to keep your insurance ratings down.
I didn't say we have less fire stations.
Yeah.
It's just we don't need 6 different people running 6 different fire stations. Thank you.
Well,
Judge, I got one other thing.
Okay.
Magistrate Likens, I don't think he was in the room here. That maybe he was, but I understand Iron Man's coming back on the 18th. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
And the brochure that went out gave some indication there'll be some road closures. There are going to be no road closures.
That's correct.
So,
right.
There'll
It's
be
the 18th,
delays.
And the only road that's closed is a part of a few blocks of Jefferson Street. Okay. Just a few. Here, everything else is open. than shared.
Well, the chief said no roads are closed, so you all have to work that out.
Well, right. It's just a few blocks of downtown. There's a diversion right here somewhere in Jefferson. You did, Barry. Magistrate Dye brought up projects. Okay, I was a little sharp with you there. But,
Not nothing more than usual.
More than usual, right? That's
Yeah.
right. We're doing. We try to keep everybody informed. There's a lot of balls in the air here. The church, what I call the church building next door, doesn't have a steeple because it leaked. We have an order in with Campbellsville Industries for a new steeple to be placed up there. It should be arriving this fall, but the thing was taken off. It had some risk to it. It had to come down, and that's why the tape is out there to keep people from getting too close to the building. The interior is being worked on according to the plan. They've done some things in the roof system there, put insulation in. So we want everybody to be informed. We're not trying to hide anything or surprise anyone.
I don't believe I used the word hide.
No, I know. Keep you informed. That's fair enough comment. I mean, we want everybody to be informed, and the other projects we have, as far as the architect is getting some ideas together on our police administration building. When we have them, actually in a written form, something to look at, we'll get everybody together and take a look at what these are and get our comments. The animal control building is coming along, should be ready in the fall, but there have been several concerns about it that have to be corrected. The window supplier has not been able to deliver the windows that we expected to have.
Doors.
Pardon?
Doors.
The windows, doors.
Glass for the doors.
Right. So things have not gone as smoothly there as we'd hoped, but we're counting on other people to come through with what they told us they would do.
Windows are across the street.
Yeah.
That's where the windows are having a problem.
So, anyway, so we're working along with it, and we're getting there. It's progress is slow. It's just excruciating until it's open, and now everybody's driving on the off ramps and happy as can be. So now we can get back to studying that traffic jam in Buckner that we passed on before. What was that all about, baby? Yeah, we remember we were going to do a traffic study down there. Hadn't gotten one yet.
Yes.
That one. Yeah, well, we're going to bring it up again. So
That was Buckner, not Crestwood.
It was a
That was
6-3
Buckner.
vote for $79,000.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm just teasing. It's late in the day, and we're getting silly. Yeah, getting silly. All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Well, that's right. Yep.